Welcome back to the SPL. Splice just got through dominating in game number 1. And if you want to dominate as well, then you might want to pick up this new battle pass. Specifically, it's the Pirate Queens. Get skins for Chang'e, Artemis, Neith, and Serqet right now. In fact, that Artemis skin unlocks immediately once you pick it up, so you're going to want to make sure to do that. Joining me, though, here on the desk, I've got Zeros right here next to me. You all know him and love him. One of our very best pros who's taking a little bit of time here to spend with us. I appreciate you, man. We're going into Dignitas versus Renegades, which should be a big set.
Yeah, it should be for sure. Although, could be one-sided, looking how Dignitas has such a rough week, losing to Ubey, which they should beat, losing to SK, 0-3, which they should also beat. So obviously they're going to be in a rough spot while Renegades has just looked good through all and all. I think it's such a big set for Dignitas though, because if they can win it today, I think that's going to be a big turning point for them. And if they lose it today, I think they might continue on their spiral down.
Yeah, at the very least, I want Dignitas to look competitive in this one, right? Because they've been struggling lately. If they can, at the very least, get us to 4 or 5 games, they can still build off that, because no one has beaten Renegades up until this point. I mean, this team has looked unstoppable. And what is it for you with this Renegades team that really makes them look this strong? I feel like it's their teamwork and that they really trust each other in these fights.
It's just like strong individual players in each role, and they were the team to made this meta as well, right? Like with the Hunter mid and stuff. So yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about their opponents on the other side, Team Dignitas, like you said, who have been struggling up until now. And they've got a really strong core on this team. They really should not be struggling. QvoFred, Trixtank, and Variety have been playing together for a long time. They added in Hurriwind and Ataraxia, 2 strong players in their own right. And I think Hurriwind has really stepped it up for them in the middle lane. And they need to kind of get back to that. I don't know if the lane swap has always worked for them, putting Hurriwind over into the long lane, Ataraxia in mid. Sometimes it feels like Nate can play a bit slow. Where do you condemn this lane swap for Dig specifically?
It's weird because as they did it in the start, I think they did pretty well. Like Ataraxia will play the Neith, will play the Skadi, and I think like they played really well. And like I think Hurriwind did well in duo lane as well. But like as of late, I don't know what happened to them. It's just kind of weird with Dignitas because I always felt like Trixtank, Fred, and Variety. I mean, I played with them for so many years, and I feel like they're like one of the hardest frontline to play against as a carry because they're so good at diving. While I think like Hurriwind and Ataraxia are probably more used to play like the backline where they want peel and kind of stuff. So like I feel the playstyle might be mashing right now. They just need to find a way how to work as a unit. That's
a good point. I mean, a lot of the identity of Dignitas is that aggressive style, especially for Trixtank. I mean, you were so excited coming into Season 6 to have a support like Trix, because supports get to be aggressive, and that's what he does so well. But they're going up against a support who does both very well in iRaffer over here for the Renegades. It feels like iRaffer plays aggressive just like Trix, but he's also always there to provide that little bit of peel that the Renegades need to keep their backline going too. Right now it feels like Renegades are firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think iRaffer is definitely more defensive kind of support than Trixtank is though. And I think he's probably the best defensive support right now, which is kind of weird. He's been around for so long, right? And he's still probably the best, which is super impressive in my opinion. But when I think about iRaffer, I think about the Khepri and the Gab especially.
Yeah, he plays the Khepri at such a high level. It feels like one that you almost have to ban against him. But then the Ganesh could also be really strong too. You never really know exactly what it is that you have to do here up against the Renegades to try and shut them down. But we don't have to wonder what it is you have to do up against Renegades. We had a chance to talk a little bit with them and get their thoughts in the interview.
For my teammates, I think seeding is really important, especially Cherry. I know he rates that very highly, but I'm just like, yeah, we could probably lose these sets to make sure we perform at Worlds. But that's like my mentality versus his. I'm more of a, I just turn up on the day sort of thing, whereas he'd like the warm up, he'd like the confidence going into Worlds, thinking, we got 2nd seed, we won every set in the 2nd split. Whereas I'm just like, we lost every split, but we still won. Kind of like MSI, We had a really poor performance in the 1st split, and it came to MSI. We just clenched 6th seed, got us into that bracket, and then we just popped off at MSI. That's how I won. That's how I, foresee progressing into the splits and going to LANs. So I think with Dignitas, it's the opposite to what it's been every year. They've usually had really good seasons, and then they come to LAN, then absolutely, I'll poo the bed. I would express that differently, but for the interview, I'll just keep it as that. I think that they're usually the LAN team kind of sucks, but then the season team's really good. So now for Cast to win Worlds, right? They're doing bad in the season and they're going to get to LAN and pop off. That's just a theory.
But it does bode well for your matchup then, at least, right?
Yeah, it should be a free win, and then if they win, then good luck at Worlds, that's all I'm saying.
Love getting a chance to talk to iRaffer. Sets up a win-win for himself. The Dignitas are the online team, and they'll just beat them at LAN, or they're the LAN team, and they got a nice free win here in the regular season. Love getting to hear a bit from them. But what do you think sort of about iRaffer's mentality? Because now that they're at this point where they have already qualified, he says he's not as hung up on these regular season games, but some of the rest of his team is. Where do you come down, I guess, on that mentality?
I mean, it's him against Cherryo, right? And Cherryo wanted to win the games and like have high seeding going into Worlds. But I have to agree with iRaffer, because I feel like every time there's a tournament around, the team that wins are never the team that are doing the good in the regular split. So I think iRaffer has the right mentality, and I hope they lose today so they do well at Worlds.
That's right. iRaffer maybe just want to take one loss on the way in so they can get rid of that first place curse that always seems to come through. But we are into the picks and bans now for game number 1. Dignitas will be in that first spot. Renegades in the second spot. And this should be a bit more of a standard picks and bans. In that Splice game, we saw a lot of different stuff that we normally do, but I feel like Dig and Renegades usually play a lot of that meta stuff. So expect to see, a lot of the big stuff getting banned away. Do you expect the picks and bans to look fairly standard?
Maybe, yeah. As I said, Renegades is the team who pretty much created this meta, right? That Dardez was the first one to play Honor mid pretty much every game for a while. People underestimated it, but then people realized this is so good. So I feel like Renegade's probably gonna play a meta style. Dignitas, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him in a while, and obviously last time they played, they did not play well. So maybe they switch a lot of things up here. We'll see.
Hopefully for them, things do look a bit different. It's a good point. As Persephone banned away, Dignitas banning the Geb away from iRaffer. That's another one of his strong picks, along with the Khepri, and then Jormungandr banning away from Nika over in the solo lane. So fairly standard, but you still got to worry about Thoths and Sets and Thors and Amaterasu and Isis. So there's still a lot of really good stuff out there as Renegades ban away this Isis pick here.
I think they already committed on banning iRaffer, so I think they're gonna get rid of the Khepri as well, right? Unless they're planning on first picking it, but I highly doubt that. So I kinda... Okay, this time Athena, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, this is still certainly a strong ban. If you're first pick, you don't necessarily have to ban that one, right? You can always pick it yourself, but this could potentially leave that Khepri open for iRaffer, and they're not afraid to pick it in those first two when they're second pick. And now Renegades have to ban something here. What are you banning?
Set.
Yeah, get rid of the set. Yeah, we don't want to deal with it.
I think they might try to bait iRaffer into Khepri though. Maybe they've been looking to play Thanatos. As I said, we haven't seen that much Thanatos yet, but I think he should be so good in this meta.
Be the judge.
Should be able to get some good use out of him with that boots rush, I imagine, right? The executes and such as Olorun comes in for Dignitas. So now we do get a chance to see if Renegades do want to value that Khepri highly. Thor is still out there, though. That's another one you want to grab. Cherryo doesn't always play it, but he certainly could. And there it is, that Thor locked in, and a chance to see if Khepri will follow suit.
Yeah, I think there's 4 as well. Same as Splice, they flex it to jungle and solo, and I think Renegade will do exactly the same thing. I think Nika already played it a couple of times. And honestly, I think he might even be better in solo lane if he can have a decent matchup where he doesn't fall too far behind.
Well, I mean, in almost every game they played in game 1, Splice did, Solo Troll was behind on the Thor and was still able to have really big impact in the team fights later on. So, like you said, the Thor in the solo lane can be strong even from behind as Horus comes in next for Renegades to give them an aggressive support instead of the Khepri.
Yeah. Neither of Thor or Horus is like, I say it all the time, but like I think you need counter picks against Olorun if you want to be able to contest team fights mid-game, late game. And I think Thor and Horus, neither of them are like amazing. I guess Thor can wall him off, which is pretty good, but I want to see some more counter picks against this Olorun for Renegades.
I know you've spoken about how Jormungandr is good in that matchup, obviously Vamana, but the Jormungandr already banned out by Dignitas, and I don't know with Thor and Horus on the board if they could afford to go to Vamana. This Olorun might not have too hard of a time now, especially now that King Arthur is picked up for variety. He loves this pick.
Oh, Hercules as well for Trix. I like to see that. You want to see Trix on the aggressive support. Unless he's playing Fenrir against Splice at World Championship, then you don't want him.
That's you don't maybe not the look. But this Hercules, I agree, is a strong one. I mean, we just saw how well Roar played it in the first set during the day. And Trixtank is very similar. He loves to play aggressive. He doesn't always do as much invading, but I imagine by picking this Hercules, he's kind of signaling that he's looking to invade.
Definitely. And that's the honor for Dardez. That's a good pick. But I'm a bit worried for Renegades here. No real counter picks against Olorun so far. And now Dignitas has a chance to ban away like the big ones like Vamana and Xingtian, that kind of stuff. So.
Sure. Dignitas can take this opportunity to try and ban to keep this Olorun protected. And we don't know yet what the next carry is going to be, but just kind of like, do you think this is more likely to end up in Hurriwind's hands or Ataraxia's hands, this Olorun?
That's a good question, because I don't know if Hurriwind play mid or dual lane. So.
Yeah, that's right. We don't know where he's going.
But I do prefer Olorun in dual lane. I just feel like you get more farm, and he needs farm in my opinion. Get him a couple of items, and he just becomes so strong.
It's a good idea to ban this Thoth the way Funballer loves to play this pick. The Renegades are almost flipped the way that you would expect. Dardez plays almost nothing but physical hunters, and then Funballer plays almost nothing but magical damage mages over on the left-hand side. So Dignitas, I think, absolutely have the right idea to ban this Thoth away from Funballer. I almost called it Funballer because of how well he plays it. Dignitas are certainly right there.
Yeah, I want to see a Merlin ban from Renegades here, I think. Because as the Splice played earlier, Olorun Merlin, I think that's such a strong backline to have. Like, it's good for killing objectives, it's good for killing anything, really.
Yeah, you're able to build complementary prot shred items as well as the hop walk gets banned away by Renegades. A bit surprising to see that one there. They also banned the Chernobog. They are worried about this double basic attack focus potentially coming out from Dig. But I mean, Dignitas already has such a beefy front line between the King Arthur and Hercules. I feel like you'd want something to kind of lock it down, not unlike a Poseidon.
Yeah, I think for Merlin should be perfect for Dignitas here. It's like he can blink like Horus blinks too, right, to start his combo. That's what he want to do. Merlin's flickering is fast enough to get out of that combo. I think Merlin would be perfect for Dignitas here, and I really want to see it.
Renegades lock in the Serqet, which makes me want to shuffle things around a little bit. The Serqet must be going to Cherryo in the jungle, and then Thor must be going over to Nika and Horus for iRaffer here at this point. Do you like these 4 picks that are coming in for Renegades here so far?
It's a lot of physical damage, but they do have the Shred on Anhur passive and Horus too, so I guess it's fine. They're gonna need some strong magical damage though to like have enough magical damage at all, because you're just gonna see a lot of physical defense items on Dignitas. Olorun will be able to build items like maybe Jade Emperors, Lotus Crown, something like that, and he's gonna be so hard to deal with if they don't get any good magical damage here.
I think these two last bans from Dignitas are actually really good. Poseidon and Thoth both would have felt really good in this composition. They both can build Divine Ruin really well against the King Arthur and the Hercules, so this is heads up from Dig. But that Merlin is still out there, like you mentioned, so no reason Renegades can't pick that up. As now this Neith comes in, and you mentioned this way back at the top of this set, that back when this role swap was working for Dignitas, it was Ataraxia on this Neith.
Yeah, Neith Skadi had so much success on, then he switched up to play some all. I mean, he done well on like pretty much anything he played, but I felt like those two were like, they did solid performance every time.
That was when they were really clicking. They'll also add the Unbots in for a good deal of control. And now Morrigan comes in for the Renegades. And this is magic damage, but I don't know. I worry that this might not be enough. And it's not like the big AoE magical damage that you'd want. I mean, is this going to have to be transforming into the Olorun, or do you think the Morrigan's enough on its own?
It's hard to say. I feel like the tanks on Dignitas will be immortal here almost, because like Morrigan, not great at killing tanks.
Right.
She will create some problem for the carries on Dignitas though, but I really like Dignitas draft. I don't love the Humbash because I feel like their problem Renegade could definitely snowball this game. They're such good early game, but if they get to mid game, late game, I feel like Dignitas has this draft for sure.
It's a good point. Renegades with this Anhur, with this Horus, I mean a Serqet. That 3v3 combination for Renegades is nasty, and that's what they play so well around, as opposed to what's likely going to be the Unbots, Hercules, and the Neith. That at times can be a bit slower, so Renegades probably favored in that 3v3. What do you think Dignitas have to do to kind of buckle down and not get run over by this early game from Renegades?
It's hard to say. Like, they just need to keep the pressure up a little bit. They just can't give it too much. If Renegades get to the point where they can start invading red buffs and backhands, I think they will just snowball this, because they can do objectives really fast with an Anhur and all the protection strat they have as well. So
yeah,
I'm not sure. It's definitely going to be hard, but then again, they do have the Hercules support, which is really strong early game, so I think they can hold out.
Well, let's see if Trixtank, the man at the front, can get it done on the Hercules, or will the Renegades be a little bit too fast for them to handle? Let's start game 1.
2 Finch and Zeros on the desk. Joining me in the cast for this Dignitas versus Renegades matchup is the one and only Ryan Agro Bailey. We've got a big matchup here. We've got the Renegades undefeated still for the whole split since MSI. And Dignitas, who've, well, they climbed to the top, and ever since then, it's been a slow, steady decline.
I think so as well, but the last week that we saw Dignitas was them hitting the edge and then falling off of the entire cliff, man. It's been tough these last few weeks, I think, for Dignitas, and this is not exactly a confidence booster going up against an undefeated team.
No, shell start for Trixtank here on this Hercules as well. He's had Hercules in the god pool for a long time, back to the Season 1-2 days along with Sun Wukong, but not going to go for a speed buff invade. Instead, it's a lane gank. But Renegades have sniffed this out. Early ward coverage on this left-hand side is giving the game away, so Funballer is going to be able to play very safe. However, there's a good chance of invasion here for Dignitas.
Little surprised Trix doesn't go super high and loop between purple and red. I think he might have been able to get the kill if he takes that pathing, but got what he really wanted anyways, which is the pressure enough to secure purple buff invade. Both supports, or both junglers get their speed buff, so it's not a big deal that Trixtank wasn't there to either protect Qvo or harass Cherryo.
Have we actually seen Olorun played by Hurriwind so far this week? Because I think that's one of the reasons I want to bring this up, is because Ataraxia is playing it in the duo lane here, not in the mid lane. I think Olorun's only been played by Ataraxia so far by Dig.
I agree, and it's almost always been in mid, and it's almost always been unimpressive.
Yeah.
I think that putting it in the long lane is a good start. I wonder if this is just where they want to put Ataraxia so that they feel like he's the stronger Olorun player, or do we feel like this is just what we're going to do with everything now?
Pressure
You
onto
never know.
Ataraxia, has to beat early, goes for damage onto Funballer. His Trixtank's there. Shell came into play to try and help out Ataraxia in the backline, and that sets up Trix for first blood. Qvo's not done though, the chase still on towards Cherryo, but at level 2, there's no more abilities left over. Purple buff is defended. Dignitas claim the first life.
And that's exactly where you want to be playing around your Hercules support. I don't mind the idea by Renegades. You want to get this Olorun behind early. You want to give Funballer kill potential in that lane, but Trixtank and Qvo there to help out and do exactly what the Hercules support is supposed to do, be the disruptive and damaging factor in the early game.
Obviously, both the supports playing warriors this game, but I would say that Hercules definitely the one that in the early game is a dictator of pace. Horus definitely there for a little bit of CC chaining and causes a couple of problems, but he does scale well into the late game as a Hercules does.
Horus is a physical guardian, man.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
It's pretty much the same thing.
He's not really a true warrior, I don't think. He does physical damage, and that's about where the warrior stuff stops.
Yeah, I think the fact his ultimate does shielding rather than a ton of damage like a boulder will do definitely is a bit of a difference maker there. But this Neith in the mid lane then for Hurriwind, we'll see how this works out. I'm a little bit concerned about Neith against Thors, always will be, always have been, just because of the natural progression of the backflip against the double tap.
It's really easy for the Thor player for sure, but Hurriwind wants to be able to apply pressure elsewhere on the map, help out Variety, help out Ataraxia. And Funballer is on a character that is going to struggle up against something like a World Weaver Ultimate. That can really cause a problem if Hurriwind times it well, make sure that he doesn't have his stealth to try and create distance, or maybe try and get away using that transformation. You can force relics on Funballer very easily with this World Weaver Ultimate. And I think Neith is just underplayed overall, man. It is really, really hard to play around this god wherever she is on the map.
Well, with this Dignitas on the left-hand side, Funballer at the moment already died at the moment. Maybe his fingernails have something to do with that. If you've not noticed today, Funballer currently playing with ladies' nails on. Well, I mean, anyone's nails. Anyone can have nails on, but I don't think it really helps with keyboard presses too much.
I mean, look, he hasn't been playing this way his whole life.
Look at him.
Not going to be playing this way forever, I imagine.
You can
Maybe
misclick with that, right?
It.
You can misclick with that more often.
Yes, I would imagine that it would be easier, but I don't know. I've never had my nails done like that.
We'll find out as this game continues whether or not. Keep an eye on the relic situation. Maybe he misuses an ability here or there at one moment or two. Nika on the right-hand side, though, playing the Thor up against Variety's King Arthur, both with the Warrior's Blessing to begin the game off with, and now investing into Boots and Gladiator's Shield respectfully. Those guys keep an even pace on teleporting back to lane 2 as the relic was 1 second difference.
But in the mid lane, a bit of a difference in the build, whereas Dardez goes for the Blessing, Hurriwind ignores it, goes straight for the Transcendence Rush. And this is where I think that Mage's Blessing can be really strong. You get an extra 10% CDR. Neith loves that. All of her abilities proc to Mage's Blessing. She loves that. But at the same time, getting that Transcendence on as early as possible, I don't mind it. It's kind of untraditional right now, though. I mean, Boots Rush is so common in every role. I mean, mid, ADC, whatever. You see just about everybody going Boots first. This tells me that Dignitas really does not want to fight in the 3v3, but instead let Trixtank and Qvo spread out, go to the side lanes, and let Hurriwind affect it from the mid lane.
Definitely, especially with Trixtank going for the shell, not the blink option here. Normally the Hercules, there's a lot of supports, even iRaffer and the Horus here, go for the blink option for the earlier quick engages to reposition or set up a kill. The shell tells me a different sort of pace is being set here by this one.
I'm surprised too because yes, Shell is very, very good against Renegade's composition. Blocks the auto attacks that Dardez is going to throw out. Nika, Cherryo. It's great against Serqet because it absorbs those auto attacks that would otherwise detonate the passive. But man, Herc with Blink it's bread and butter, you know? It's peanut butter and jelly. It's so common.
A little bit early on that boulder from Trixtank, like the idea behind it, but in the jungle there's a fight as iRaffer gets pinched by QvoFred on the rotation round. Great fear, no evil from QvoFred. He needed the help from Trix towards the tail end there, otherwise I don't think he would have got the kill, but it was a good start from Dig here, off to a flyer.
And Hurriwind uses the ultimate as well. It looks like Trixtank was able to steal away that red buff just based on Dardez not picking it up. So overall, a really good sequence of events for Team Dignitas. And this is what you want to do, is make sure that you don't end up giving up the game early on, because Zero's highlighted on the desk, man. This late game is very potent for Dignitas. They've got a ton of CC. They've got an Olorun that's going to cause problems. They don't have a great option.
This is a gank attempt onto Variety now. Worldweaver out from Funballer, transforming on that Morrigan to set up Variety's death in this solo lane, giving Nika the kill. At first, it looked a little strange when we all saw Nika ult in then, and I'm like, why did you do that? Variety doesn't have his ult. Well, guess what? There was a gank coming, not just from the Serqet.
No good ward vision there for Renegades, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, Variety had all that warded, but that CC chain started so early that he didn't really have many options. Love the use of that changeling ultimate by Funballer. Use what Dignitas gives you in the picks and bans, not just on the game.
Don't think Ford saw that in time, but the driving strike didn't read the situation well enough. Funballer steps to the right-hand side in the stealth and escapes the danger.
And that's a perfect example of where Blink makes a huge difference. If Trixtank can close that gap and be able to find that driving strike before Funballer sees him behind him, then it's a much easier time to get beads. Funballer is very, very vulnerable. Even if he uses beads, he's dead in that spot, because then Ataraxia can use that Sanctified Field. I think that Blink would have served Trixtank very well this game.
I think it's one of the reasons we see him go for the Talaria option in terms of boots as well. Because not having that Blink, you're going to need to manually close that gap a little bit more. So the extra movement speed you'll get from those boots means you're a little bit less tanky than you'd like to be at this stage, and that could cause him a bit of a problem here. Won't use his driving strike away just yet, but the defense from Renegades is good enough this time round to secure their own red.
This feels like Trixtank at where he's supposed to be, right? Just harassing you with your red buff,
nuisance.
1v3ing you, and you don't really want to commit to him. He's not going to commit to you. It's just going to be a problem for your team to face. I think this is perfect.
Being channeled by Hurriwind here towards the mid lane of Dardez, but hit iRaffer and the Earthbreaker onto iRaffer's good fear. No evil after that. The CC chain onto Horus was too hot for him to handle. No chance of escape.
I almost wonder... No, there's no way that Hurriwind was that big brain to aim it at Dardez, because
he knew he was going to block it.
He knew iRaffer would block it without getting the CC immunity from To the Skies. Think of it this way. If iRaffer just immediately sees that targeter on him, he just presses 4, and he's out. By trying to get his body block, maybe he doesn't think of pressing 4, and then we get to CC chain him to death. I think they would have liked to hit Dardez there and just really did a good job of calling the audible as the play went on.
It definitely was aimed at Dardez though, right? I'm pretty sure I did see a target
was.
around him. I just want to make sure I'm not confused that they didn't just go for the Horus there, because that would be the prime target in that situation. Variety, a prime target for Renegades on this right-hand side, but Cherryo going to leave the engagement once the follow-up is there. Morrigan will use a bit of miscommunication there from Renegades as Funballer uses the ultimate, but no follow-up. And Dignitas sensing a window of opportunity, going to get themselves an uncontested Gold Fury.
Love this. They know Funballer can't step up. They know Dardez's ultimate is down in mid lane. They've got ward vision really solidly all across the map. I mean, the right side Renegades do have a lot more ward vision, but it's really on this left-hand side. Dignitas is dominating. What, 1 Renegade's ward on the left side? And that's not anywhere near Gold Fury. That's on the back half of it. That's easy for them.
Oh, well, weave it to Nika again. He's under a lot of pressure here, but Variety pinned by the wall for so long. That wall just bought him enough time to escape. Trixtank can't get there in time, but now Trix is going to be careful. Dodges the damage out from iRaffer, and now starts to look to invade the blue buff. Going to be a little bit careful here with the Earthbreaker driving strike. Will secure the buff for his team.
And he'll be able to just walk away. Go get the buff, man. You earned it. That's Dardez. Not anywhere near here.
I was kind of watching that Variety fight there. I'm like, Variety could potentially kill Nika there, but Cherryo was just hanging around.
I was watching it too. I just said Dardez because, I don't know. He's playing on her, and I'm down with that.
You just think all EU's the same, don't you?
Yep. Yep, that's what I meant by that.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
It was as good as the Dardez comment.
Sure.
3-1, Dignitas up about 3,000 gold here. I'm not too excited about this in a weird way because of the way Renegades have played their entire season so far since MSI. They're still undefeated. Even if they go down around the 15 to 20 minute mark, they just seem to shift gears and look to the teamfight stage, and that's where they really shine.
When they group up, man, it's just so impressive. The way they team fight as a unit better than just about anybody right now. They really know how each other play.
Yeah.
And this is not a team that has more experience than everybody else together. It's not a team that stuck together after last year. Heck, it's not even a team that was able to play until, what, week 6 or something like that of phase 1?
It was a long time.
Yes, all the time spent together outside the game before they came over here may have helped out. I don't know, but these guys have meshed better than anybody, and I agree. Dignitas, this is where they almost need to be at this stage. Not that their early game is better, but they've leveraged the Neith very well. They've leveraged the Hercules well. Qvo's done exactly what Batz wants to do in the early game. 2 fear, no evils, 2 kills. Let's not fight otherwise. I like the way they've been playing so far.
Well, Dignitas' first defeat in the Pro League was against Renegades back in phase 1. And since then, that's where we start to see this trickle effect towards Dignitas not finding opportunities. But this is a big set for them, especially after the performances last time we saw them both out. Failures to do well against Luminosity, I believe, and it was also SK Gaming. Really put them on a back foot in the second half of their split now.
This is already much better than I was expecting from Dignitas. I was worried about this team. We talked about it a lot on Esports Weekly. The mental side of the game has not always been Dignitas' forte, and that, I think, last week really would have given them a good excuse to be upset mentally and not be in it and ready to go mentally. They look focused so far, and they clearly came with a game plan, and it's working so far.
Well, Dignitas invade the blue on the right-hand side, whereas Renegades do find a window at that red buff of Dignitas in response, so the gold lead stays relatively even, as will the experience. Hurriwind hitting level 12 in the mid lane now with a fully stacked Transcendence already because he didn't go for that blessing. Has really brought him a bit more of a window here to get some extra damage out and use his power spike.
I mean, it makes total sense where he is in the build compared to Dardez. The Hunter's Blessing, 700 gold. Mace 1, 700 gold. So that's just where that extra gold has gone. Hurriwind is 700 gold more into his build, but you make the argument that a fully stacked Hunter's Blessing is worth more than Mace 1. I'd certainly buy that argument, but how much more can Hurriwind, how much can we leverage that fact that I'm getting Crusher or Brawlers 700 gold earlier than you are in the mid lane? It's those little windows.
Also, the stacks and the Transcendence is a bigger thing too. World Weaver comes through, hits Dardez, who has to beads him there. I don't think he intentionally meant to eat that World Weaver, so he did get his beads. He had Desert Fury available, funny enough, so I guess he didn't recognize it was going to hit him.
Hard to blame him. That was a clumped up little engagement, and if Hurriwind can get beads every time.
Good impale from Dardez. I swear, I might as well just call it impaled with Dardez because that happens every single time. I don't feel like he misses them.
Beast, man. He's so mechanically gifted and brought Anhur into the meta by himself.
Yeah, just picked it up, and to be fair, all he's played in mid lane has been Hunters since he transferred over to this mid lane position. We've seen a lot more flexibility out of Funballer in terms of these mage pickups, but they've really just focused on Hunters consistently.
Phase 2, I don't think he's played a mage quite yet. He's played a lot of Anhur. He's played...
Stop him when he needs to, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's played Artemis, for God's sakes, before he played a mage. What does that tell you?
Nox supports. Remember that? That's the same dude who brought Nox support to the meta. Had a pretty good Fafnir in his pool too. Blue buff spawns on the right-hand side, and Dignitas are around, at least Variety is. But he's going to find Cherryo over here, just doing those back harpies. And in a 2v1, he may have to surrender this. Meanwhile, Dignitas are grouped up as 4 on the left-hand side. They just got their own red, and the Fury's spawning. And we just saw Funballer go back to base. Renegades are not aware of this. Raph is going to the sky, though, but I don't think he can get here in time.
Not even close. Oni Fury's gone. Blink in from iRaffer, though.
Risky.
Tough.
Very risky. Gets hit by the Fear No Evil and taken down 2. Another kill for Dignitas off the back of a gold, an Oni Fury. Trix takes a ton of damage there from Funballer. Funballer going to drop the field, and Trix in trouble with Cherryo coming in too. But the boulder came through, but Ataraxia got the kill on Funballer. Make that 2 for Ataraxia from the dual lane. QvoFred blinking in, looking for the tail end of this Serqet. And hands on head from Cherryo tells me that kill goes down. Dignitas, 4 picks, sorry. And a Fury.
All for just Trixtank. Sign me up. I mean, that is just a mistake from Renegades. They aren't there in time for Gold Fury spawn, and that is uncharacteristically sloppy for this team. A lot of times you'll see teams give up Furies and we'll go, oh, I don't know if they knew about that. Where they do, and they decide that it's not worth their investment. There's a reason, Dardez ended up beat, something like that. That looked to me like Renegades realized,
Oh,
oh
Nika
crap.
trying to turn something around though for Renegades as he ults Ataraxia in the mid lane. No, he's not got the field available. But with Hurriwind being alongside him, the two carries from Dignitas defend themselves well enough at that tier 2 tower. Actually, opportunity there for Quvo in this dual lane to take that tier 1.
Now Renegades, after losing that Fury, are really behind the 8 ball because Dignitas can group. The good news for Renegades, there's no Pyromancer up because that feels like it would be basically guaranteed at this point, but this is perfect timing for Dig. They finish a bunch of power spike items all around that time, and they pull Gold Fury, burst it instantly. Now they're going to be in a position where they're going to start working towards these next few items and not be completed quite yet. By the time that Pyromancer's up or the time that we're ready to start pulling fire, I'll bet you they'll be ready to go with these items.
Yeah, don't expect a Fire Giant just yet, especially with the Pyromancer being down. It could just be Dignitas hunting for a kill or two, because all the tier 1 towers for Renegades are down already, and trying to take down tier 2s is tricky. With Variety blinking on to Cherryo there. Cherryo, ooh, just a little bit late on that Fear No Evil from QvoFred, otherwise that could have been a dead Serqet, or at least one that doesn't have beads anymore.
That was weird from both Quvo and Trix because they both felt like that engagement wasn't worth going for. Hurriwind ults, you see both Trix and Quvo back up. Variety agrees that it's a good opportunity. And then he goes in, that brings Trix and Quvo back, but that's the end of it.
Longer Raph stays in that, the longer and more damage he'll take from the ground. He was looking for an escape route through the jungle and finds one. Wasting a lot of time here with Dignitas, but when I say they're wasting a lot of time, there's nothing for Dig to do anyway. As long as they die on that Earthbreaker, which they do, they may be able to find the pick. But the skirting around the edges from Raffa comes up well enough to keep him alive.
Horus double dash, pretty good it turns out.
Yep.
Did cost him the blink, but he trades it for Quvo, so not the end of the world. Quvo doesn't have Relic Dagger quite yet. He does, however, have the Breastplate of Valor. 4 physical composition. Funballer's on a god that's going to maybe turn into another physical. I like the idea of some physical defense. I don't know necessarily about Breastplate. He's going to be overcapped already on CDR, or he's going to be at the cap, rather, between Transcendence, Breastplate, and Relic Dagger. That means that Jotuns is off the table. Spirit Robe won't give you CDR.
Fire Giant about 70% as Nika uses his ult to try and force a reset, but Hurriwind catches him in the
Oh,
root.
sick.
And the double tap after the driving strike just shuts Nika down. Dardez, though, picked Ataraxia on the rotation with Variety, so at least it's a 1-for-1. Hunter for solo laner. I don't think Renegades will be too upset about that.
No, I don't think so either. Weird little engagement. Looks like Ataraxia's beat just came up, and he didn't get the ultimate off. Probably Cherryo there, his blink is down as well. Now Dardez lost the Aegis, Hurriwind shooting off that World Weaver after the fact, but that is okay for Renegades. They just want to slow the pace of this game down, and the best way to do that is to gum up the kill feed with a bunch of 1-for-1s that don't really mean anything. Let us spread out, invade your buffs, get some waves, and feel good about it. And I think they should right now. They're not in a bad spot.
Definitely worries me a little bit when you look at the Fire Giant objective control. The Dignitas do run away with it a little bit more. The Boulder, first of all, very good. Sanctified Field from an Olorun. And then you've still got a Fear No Evil, which just separates enemies coming in to try and make an attempt at disengaging or resetting the buff. You're only really looking from Renegade's point of view at this Anhur, or maybe Funballer transforming into one of the members of Dig.
It's not a great set of transformations if you want to look for magical damage. It's good for overall just gods to transform into.
The kiss still here after the monkey bounce went through. Quvo tries to teleport to it, but Variety blinking in here, trying to slow down and pressure Cherryo a little bit more. No kisses available, remember. However, the ultimate was up and the overinvestment wasn't there. Dignitas didn't go too deep. Trix going deep though, trying to zone back Renegades a little bit more because Dig's attention has now turned to the third Fury of the game.
Already gotten 2. Why not a third? Now, Renegades obviously know this one is happening. They've got Oracle Vision, but this is where you can't afford to step up and contest. 3 Furies without a look at a Renegades member for Dignitas less than 20 minutes in. No wonder they're up by a solid 6K.
It's a really good performance from him so far, but I think more importantly is this Fire Giant. If they can get this would really swing the difference and almost put game 1 to bed at this point because Renegades are just fighting for farm at this moment in time. Nika 17, Dardez 17. They're trying to keep pace with their counterparts. Carries are going to start to fall behind a little bit here. Level difference between Cherryo and Raffa, but it shows how good Renegades are doing, even though they're at a deficit in gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the XP differential is not bad anywhere. You've got about a level in support and in solo and in jungle. But the two carries are even so far. The gold difference is noticeable, I would say, in itemization, but it's not a big deal yet. I mean, no big power spikes have been completed for Dignitas that Renegades can't really match. They're usually down about a tier 1, tier 2 at this point, about 1,000 gold a player. That makes sense. You know, you spend 700, 800 on a tier 1 item and then a full set of wards. That helps, but it doesn't break the back. It isn't unfightable if you're on Renegade's side.
A little bit risky from Qvo there with how deep he went into the jungle, but you already mentioned he's got a breastplate of valor, as has Cherryo, so they will be a little bit more survivable in these skirmishes in the jungle avenues. Variety's been leading off from the front with these blinks a lot of the time, happy to engage with Excalibur's Wrath to try and set something up for Dignitas to follow up. And you notice Wrath is starting to have him to play a little bit more defensively now. He got picked a couple of times in this early game. It's going to put him on the back foot. Will we out on Cherryo though? Variety there to follow up.
Got the blink Excalibur's Wrath. Raffer zoning nicely, and here comes Nika.
Fear No Evil off the mark, and also the field down, but Nika on the backside, as you said, gets toward Ataraxia and Hurriwind. Follow up from Rapper's there, but here's a field in response. This one is Ataraxia's, and the damage can slow down Cherryo doing anything. He'll still get to Ataraxia and bring him down, however. Hurriwind can soon fall after the poison has spread, and Funballer credited with the kill. Now on the backside, Variety fighting on the whole armada of Renegades as Funballer now gets a double kill, and Cherryo pushes Trixtank and QvoFred out of the fight. We were talking about Renegades and their team fight potential. There it is.
Down 6K. Yeah, we'll 3-0 you. No problem. That's with not a great transformation from Funballer. Trixtank gonna go in there and die trying to steal away a Fire Giant that Renegades know they can play patiently around. The Fear No Evil from Fred wasn't as impactful as you would like. Got beads from Dardez and Funballer that fight, but just didn't get enough on that front end. The early World Reaver from Hurriwind, it's an awkward team fighting ultimate. When are you supposed to use it? It's one that requires you to stand still, charge. I don't know, man. It just felt like Dignitas didn't have any damage at all in that team fight. And Nika hits a huge dunk onto the entire backline. Look at how synced the relics are for Hurriwind and Ataraxia. Same exact beads timer.
They had that issue earlier on in the year, right? This
too close.
This Dignitas backline, Hurriwind and Ataraxia just too close together all the time.
It's one of those that you have to stay close. You have to peel from one another.
Right. But not too close.
It's such a fine line to balance for sure. I think it's a big misconception that the supports do the majority of the peeling. It's really the hunters and mages do the majority of the peeling for the other hunter and mage. And then the support needs to come in and do the big peel in order to get the kills.
Bigger separation, so to speak.
Yeah, create the most distance.
Ataraxia could do with some separation, get some support from Hurriwind again, but that wall prevented so much time. Ataraxia drops the Sanctified Field. Nika in the sky. Where will he go, though? It looks like it might be a reset from Renegades here. Nika falls to the backside for now. Renegades marching on, though, with a Fire Giant. Funballer, though, might catch Qvo in the jungle, but a good blink from Qvo. Read the situation well. The monkey toss was so close to maybe turning that around, because Fear No Evil was looming.
Both junglers now have Titan's Bane. This build is interesting, and I don't hate it.
Well, Weaver channel by. Hurriwind hits Cherryo in the face. Cherryo was trying to walk on in there. Won't be allowed for now, but that's another ultimate down for Dignitas. Both carries without. Same can be said for Renegades, though, as Variety blinks over towards Cherryo. Cherryo ambushes away to safety as Funballer wraps around to deal with that. Frontline in, Trixtank is dealing with the likes of Dardez here on this Anhur, just trying to slow them down. This is a patient play from Renegades, realistically, just slowing down this Fire Giant buff that they had.
And it makes it better for Hurriwind and Ataraxia. They both have beats up now.
Still, Variety knows where Cherryo is and keeping him busy. Raffer dived in a little bit too deep there, and the punishment was there to be seen, but not enough to get a kill.
Sick.
Fear No Evil at the tail end did go through, but it wasn't good enough.
This is good, though, for Dignitas. I mean, they do have some sustain to worry about on the other side, but they're getting relics back.
Dig playing like a team at the moment. No ultimates available outside of Varieties here. His Blink's on cooldown, but Excalibur's Wrath could take someone out of this fight that's trying to front line. Renegades eventually, with that Fire Giant regen, allowed to get enough time to take a tier 2 tower. Yep. That's all they're really going to get. Maybe a tier 1 in mid, though.
Yeah, they'll get this tier 1 in mid for sure. Ultimate's coming back up for this mid tier 2. This might be a little bit greedy for Renegades. Only Fury's up. That seems good. And they've got great ward vision as well.
Going back to the battle around the Fire Giant as well, Ryan, one thing we did know is Morrigan transformed into that Olorun. We're going to see Funballer do that a little bit more, which makes sense when we speak about how many physical gods there are in this game. Magical damage is going to do work.
And the fact that Sanctified Field is just
nutty.
Yeah, it's just real good. Those two factors together, meaning that we'll see a lot of double Olorun ults for sure.
And now we're back to an even game. Renegades on the brink of extinction at one point in this game with how far ahead Dignitas managed to get themselves. Renegades with one good team fight. The Fire Giant converts into a Fire Giant, a Fury, couple of towers, and that evens the playing field once more. Experience is mattering less and less, although Hurriwind is still 2 levels behind that of Dardez at this moment in time. Should get an opportunity to farm up again before this next Fire Giant. With only 30 seconds remaining on the Fire Giant buff Renegades have, there's not a whole lot they can do from this point.
I mean, Fire Giant, all it really did here was even the game. And
Yeah.
that's a great sign for Dignitas. They've already cleared the left side Oni wave. Now they can back. Ataraxia cleans up mid. QvoFred tasked with clearing the right side Oni wave. And Renegades are right back at parity. And trying to find out if they can get another fire.
A little bit worried about where QvoFred was there. You just saw this swarm of red start to appear around him, and no sign of a Dignitas member in time. This tier 2 will be the final tail end of that Fire Giant then. It should go down to minions and will just about. Funballer gets caught by Variety. Will Weaver coming through. Will be eaten by Cherryo, who gets hit by the Earthbreaker. That's forcing the transformation out of Funballer with a Sanctified Field. Into the sky goes Nika. He may need to jump in here and help out his team. He goes to the back line, which lets QvoFred and Variety get to the front line. And Cherryo and Funballer fall down. Now Nika surrounded under a hell of a lot of pressure too. Good play from iRaffer to try and peel for his solo laner and resustain him back out of danger. But one by one, Renegades trying to turn tail and get away from the Armada chase from Dignitas.
Nice wall from Nika. Might have been enough to actually stop this, but tier 2 tower is certainly gone. Variety just ruined Renegades, man. I mean, the team play there was solid, but really it was the 3v3 core of Dignitas, not the mid jungle support as per usual. No, it's the Variety Qvo Trixtank 3v3 that Dignitas so often plays with. They just crushed Renegades. And honestly, Hurriwind and Ataraxia didn't have to do a whole lot.
And that's exactly what Zeros was saying on the desk about that core of this team. Like, they are some of the hardest 3 members to deal with as a front line. When you're in a backliner trying to have these guys running you, they play it so well sometimes that it just annihilates the opportunity. And now Dignitas back in control. They've got a couple of towers to take down, 2 tier 2s to be exact, which will extend a bit more of a gold lead once more. Not as much as it once was, but I'm looking at Phoenix Siege now and what could actually happen there.
Ataraxia's ultimate going to be critical, and it's sometimes hard, but sometimes easy. It's just a matter of how much warding you're going to be able to do to stop this Morrigan from being able to find angles and get stuns on backliners. We've seen game-changing plays happen on Phoenix Sieges on the defensive for Morrigan teams, where the Morrigan player is able to completely change the outcome of the game, and that almost always comes down to poor warding. But it's also difficult because, honestly, that stealth gets you so far that you can stealth almost from red buff and make it there in time still. Now, without Bumbas, it's a little bit harder. You don't get quite as much distance on it, but it's not always just these wards on the jungle entrances that you need.
Always looking at the semi-globals at Phoenix defenses, and Renegades have a couple of those, and a Morrigan, just to add that bit in there, because Thor can definitely do a lot of defense on a split push opportunity, still turn around the fight and force a 4v5. Love the work out of Cherryo to the right-hand side, though. Put pressure on one of the lanes. Will Weaver early on Dardez, who will immediately use the Desert Fury there to cancel out that stun, where Trixtank was looking for an Earthbreaker. So that cooldown's about 76, well, probably like 60 seconds, 50 seconds at this point in time. We'll see if he's going to need it sooner. His bead's still on cooldown for another 20. Dardez has to be careful.
He's already used the hammer, so Dignitas was looking for him, but couldn't end up finding it. Good response by Dardez. He didn't have purification beads. If he didn't hit that Desert Fury, he was dead.
Oh, but blinking on Funballer, and Funballer forced to use the beads, transforms into Olorun straight away. Hasn't used the field just yet. It's used at the tail end. Qvo, though, annihilated iRaffer before he even got involved in the fight. Now it's a 4v5. And Funballer, without his ultimate, that's a big window. Cherryo going to go to the backside to clear minions this, trying to force them to backdoor it.
Trixtank says, okay, we can do that.
No problem, I'm Hercules. We have a Fire Giant buff.
Yeah, he's not concerned about this at all. Left side Phoenix guaranteed. Mid Phoenix looks like a good call to me. Certainly too early to go for the end, I think.
Still getting aggressive here, Dig. Maybe looking into the actual Titan room.
Wow.
Respawn's coming through. This could be risky, but they're going to all-in commit for the Fire Giant at the tail end of this. And the damage is good enough. The Sanctified Field being up was enough for the kill. Dignitas going to take game 1 up against Renegades.
Yeah, I thought Mid Phoenix was the call, but Olorun ult turns out to be pretty good in a situation just like that. Dignitas, man, coming out game 1 and looking really strong. And I think ideally This is exactly how you wanted it to happen for Dignitas. You played well early, you transitioned it well into the mid game, and then, importantly, you lost a fight, and you lost it hard, and the game became even again. You were on the defensive. I think that all of that is actually very, very important to make sure that Dignitas is ready mentally for this entire set. If they came out and stomped and everything went well, that's good, but then it's like, okay, what happens if they lose the next early game? And what's going to happen there? You see Dignitas already be able to bounce back mentally, and they came up with a good game plan. That was perfect for them.
Really good performance from them, especially off the back of the performances the last couple of weeks, losing to the bottom end teams. I was a little bit concerned about them, but then I'm like, well, maybe they'll step up for the big games against big opposition. Renegades are technically the biggest opposition in the league right now.
Hey, Dignitas was undefeated phase 1. Renegades gave them their first loss. Renegades undefeated here in phase 2. Maybe it's Dig's time to return the favor.
Is it destiny? Game 1 goes to Dignitas. We'll be back after the break to break down that set with the desk and then bring you the rest of the action.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the SMITE Pro League.
From Atlanta, the players are here, the stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's second place, I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.
Welcome back to the SMITE Pro League. My name is Finch. Happy to have you here with us. If you hadn't been watching recently, you might not be surprised that Dignitas were able to come in and grab this Game 1 win, but it's a bit of a surprise considering the slump that they've been on, so that's a big win for them. I do also want to apologize. I know the streams went down for a bit during that game, but in those situations, the most important thing is that the integrity of the game is maintained, so we work to get back into it as soon as possible. Sorry that we missed a little bit of that, but we'll try and cover everything that happened the best that we can here on the desk. By we, I mean me and Zeros, who's right here on the desk with me, as he has been all this time. And Zeros, this is a game where it looked like Dignitas was way out in front for a while, and then Renegades kind of clawed their way back in for a moment, then Dignitas took it back again.
Yeah.
Were you surprised how back and forth this was?
It wasn't that back and forth, to be honest. It was like literally one bad team fight. Like Nika gets a huge 3-man 4-ult into Anhur ult, and they just win that fight, get fire. They don't get that much with it. I thought it would just be super one-sided though from the start, because I thought like Renegade's only chance to win in this game was like controlling the early game, but they even lost the early game against like Hurriwind wants a super greedy build as well with rank 2 Transcendence, so yeah.
They took a greedy build, you're right, and it was a slow start, and Renegades couldn't capitalize on that early game pressure they should have had. Trixtank on this Hercules, showing why this pick is so valuable in the early game. He gets 2 not particularly tough control tools right from the beginning and is able to use them quite well to help find this first ball in the Funballer, and they continue to play around that aggression. Renegades, it felt like, never really pulled the trigger except for a couple of solo ganks.
Yeah, exactly. Like Trix had so much impact in the early game. So did Fred. Like Batz is not known for being the strongest early game jungler, but he had huge impact. I think Agron mentioned it on cast where like both his first ultimate he got kills with, so just really great performance by him.
And you mentioned it, right? That maybe you have to get something that hard counters Olorun if you let him through. At the very least, Renegades did just try and match their Olorun. Instead of countering it, we'll just have one of our own with this Morrigan. But I don't know if Funball was always able to pick the best moments, and the Sanctified Fields aren't always perfect, and this is that big fight you're talking about.
Yeah. Just 3-man dunk into this. Like, they're so far behind when they take this fight too, and they still manage to come out on top. They win the fight, and they get fire out of that as well. So, great there. But, like, still, just not good enough team fights to match. Like, Dignitas team fighting, as you said as well, with the Olorun, I feel like teams need to start counter-picking Olorun, or they need to pick it themselves, or they need to ban it. Because I feel if you don't have any good enough counter-picks to Olorun, he's just too good when it comes to team fighting.
Just a little bit too comfortable. Variety, you saw in that play before, made the big play that set up for Qvo getting there and win them that siege. And this is the left side Phoenix siege where it looked like maybe Dig gonna get stalled out for a moment, but then they were able to push in and bring that game to a close as well. Dignitas were struggling coming into this, but that core, man, Trixtank, Qvo, and Variety, they just sometimes get it done when this team needs it.
Yeah, played so well this game. One thing I want to touch about as well with Ataraxia, he's against 4-fit, like he never really took any damage from Morrigan. I feel like he should really have won that Jade Emperors or even a Lotus Crown. Because like, that fight they lost, he got hit by 4. Like 4 did so much damage into the Honor Alt. If he had a Jade Emperors, he was the only one that could get Jade Emperors on his team as well. I think that would have been so good, and they probably wouldn't have even lost that that only fight they lost this game pretty much. But at the end, it didn't really matter. Like, their team comp was just so much better than Renegades.
And we talked about it coming in, that maybe the Renegades didn't have enough AoE magic damage with this Morrigan, and even turning into the old one, it didn't feel like it was enough. Do you think that's what ended up being the problem in this game? They needed more AoE, or was it just they got ran over early?
It's just not the AoE, like counterpick. I think you need counterpicks against Olorun. I think that's the main thing. Like, you go into mid game, late game against Olorun, you don't have anything that really hard counters him. Like, you just can't win team fight against that ultimate. It's just too good.
And there were some times in the early game where Funballer was trying to use the Morrigan ultimate to turn to the Neith and set up for some fight somewhere else with those World Weaver ultimates. Those didn't quite pan out either. It just did feel like Dignitas had the better draft this game, got off to a better start, and Renegades were struggling to come back. So they're going to have to make some adjustments in these picks and bans for game number 2 here now, either banning away this Olorun or picking something for themselves, and then making sure they play to their early game strengths a little bit better.
Yeah, sure. And like, just more magical damage, I think, for Renegades. I think Morrigan as the only magical damage deal is not enough. Even though Dignitas didn't really super hard to counter build against it. But yeah.
Well, we talked about the magic damage that was banned out by them last time, right? On the last 2 bans, they banned the Thoth and the Poseidon, and I think that was really heads up from Dignitas. Either of those picks, I think, would have fared better than that Morrigan last time. So maybe Renegades just need to prioritize a little bit sooner in the drafting phase as well, as we are into those picks and bans for game number 2. Geb and Persephone and Jormungandr have already been banned out, so this looks fairly the same. Where do you think, I guess, the adjustments need to come? Does it need to be earlier on in the draft, or can they do the same thing and just pick a better pick in that spot?
I think Renegades just need to ban Olorun here. Unless Renegades are planning on counterpicking the Olorun, I feel like they need to ban it here.
We'll see if that's going to be the call. Amaterasu has been taken away by Dignitas. Isis and Persephone already removed as well, and they have to ban the set. This is the same as last time, so I imagine Dig is going to take an Olorun.
For sure. I don't like did so well last game. He didn't carry last game or anything, but I think it was mainly Fred and Trix running that game.
Right.
But still, like, it's just such a secure to have in when it comes to team fighting. So yeah, and that's the Olorun.
And they could probably do most of those picks any other time. Renegade's going to grab this Thor yet again for Nika. Maybe not the most impressive performance on it last time, but I think he was pretty instrumental in the one good team fight they had.
For sure.
And they're going to come back to this Horus. So far, Renegades are largely keeping things the same.
Yeah, I don't really understand this, because, like, I mean, they probably have a different view than I do. I guess that's it, because like, I've been saying it 1 million times now, but I just feel like you need counterpick against Olorun. But like, maybe that's not the case. Like, I just need someone to prove me wrong before I like change my change my opinion on that.
Well, Serqet picked up by Dignitas this time. Last time, Renegades had this for Cherryo, and with the draft they have, this could be a Serqet for Trixtank in that support role.
For sure.
It's a nice flex pick, and we talk about how important those flex picks are all the time. But as our most recent in the actual pro comms, does it make things a lot harder when you're not sure where things are going and all those flex picks are out there?
Yeah, for sure. Then again, I think Serqet should probably go to QvoFred.
Okay.
Probably the premier Serqet player of all time in SPL, I think. I think there was some highlight reel on like the SMITE Pro Twitter the other day where like, I think he was like the most successful Serqet player, so like probably Fred on the Serqet there.
It's a good call. You're right. QvoFred, man. I feel like for some reason he always gets overshadowed because we talk so much about adapting and Baskin, but QvoFred should be right there with them, not just on Serqet, but just in general. This man is a mechanical nut, and he always comes in and plays well.
Yeah, I think the thing with Fred, like when he plays his A game, when he plays his best, I think he can be the best or is the best.
Yeah.
But the thing is, sometimes he's a little bit more invisible than some of the other youngsters sometimes. So like, I just think when he's on his A game, he's so good.
Right there with you as Morrigan comes in for Renegades. Very surprised that they're sticking with so much of that same draft from game number 1. They've got Funballer back on Morrigan, Horus likely for iRaffer again, and then the Thor could go to Cherryo, could also go over to Nika. We'll see where those picks end up. But I mean, Dignitas keeping a lot of the same stuff too. They're back to this Neith for Hurriwind again. Were you impressed with that Neith from Hurriwind particularly?
Yeah, for sure. I was worried they would struggle early game, especially when he opted to go, like he went Transcendence rank 2 instead of Hunter's Blessing, which is the better early game. So I was worried for them, but like it worked out. He went Transcendence even before Boots, and like he's still outfarmed Dardez, so definitely good.
Wow, Dignitas choosing to ban away the Shibalanke on this spot. I thought last game they had the right reads on what picks Renegades wanted. So if that's still going, then they got the read that maybe a Shibalanke was going to be valued here by Renegades. Do you think that that could have been strong on this draft here for them if that Darkest of Nights was disrupting them in fights?
Maybe, I guess, yeah. You kind of, when Olorun drops his ult, you can Shibalonk out and like maybe confuse people a bit, but I just want to see Dignitas ban Vamana, and if they don't, I just want to see Renegades. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking about
no, you're right.
But just Morrigan Vamana against Olorun, man. That's the way to go.
Well, Dignitas have a chance to ban it, and it looks like they are having a bit of a heated discussion about it. You can see QvoFred trying to make sure that his opinions are heard here. Renegades, on the other side, banned away 2 solo laners themselves. They banned away the King Arthur and the Osiris, which makes me think they really must want that Thor solo, because they would be the first ones picking after this ban phase. And the Vamana is still out there. I know you want that one picked up. Renegades have a chance.
I know Nika plays a sick Vamana as well, so I'm just begging, because I want to see it.
Let me just see someone beat the Vamana, and then maybe we don't have to worry about it as much.
I want to see the Vamana lose as well, because then there's no counter to Olorun, and that Olorun is just the best character in the game. So
you can just pick Olorun all the time.
Yeah.
Rom comes in here for Renegades, and even though the Morrigan's picked up, I don't know. I mean, this is something Funballer has played in the past, but Dardez has done so many physical hunters. I'd be surprised if he were to change off that now.
Yeah, it's definitely Dardez on the Rama. One thing though, Morrigan could transform into Rama and double snipe this Olorun. That could be another counter maybe.
Oh, there you go. He doesn't have much mobility. Shouldn't be too hard to land those snipes back there on him. Rom does have pretty good push power if he has all 5 astral arrows as well, so not bad for his clear. As Khepri and Tyr come in for Dig, they've got a really strong support in this Khepri. Their team fighting is just as strong as it was last game. Still maybe a bit slow early game, I'd say, but their mid to late game's really strong.
I think their early game is good enough. I love this Dignitas draft. They have so much CC, so much peel, and Khepri out on top of that. And then again, like, we look at Renegades, and I just don't see any counter picks to the Olorun, so like, I have to give this to Dignitas. What a draft.
They have a really strong draft here. This Ares could potentially catch this Olorun out with that no escape, but we've seen Oloruns when they do get pulled in by it, they drop the Sanctified Field so that even though they have been pulled in, everyone's slowed and they can't really follow up.
Exactly. I think this might be Ares solo actually. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure Ares solo has a pretty decent matchup into Tyr, so I think that's something to look out for.
I imagine he would with those chains, right? That limits just about everything that Tyr wants to do when he's crippled, so that's a good point. We'll keep our eyes on where this Ares ends up going. And I know you said you felt like the Dignitas early game was good enough here. Is that because of just this Serqet, or what do you think's going to kind of bolster them through that?
Serqet has like the kill pressure kind of thing early game, right? She can blink in, do so much damage, and then you have Khepri, Neith, really good wave clear, so they don't have to worry about getting out cleared either. So I think they can choose if they want to be aggressive, and if they don't, I think they can just play back and farm and secure their own farm as well. And when it gets to team fights, I just think the draft is better.
And then Renegades, they're going to need some timing to work out in their favor, as you said, because the team fights probably favor Dignitas here. We'll get our chance to see where it goes. It's Hurriwind up front this time for Dignitas, and young man Dardez for Renegades. Let's start game 2.
And we start game 2 with Dignitas 1-0 in the lead in this best of 5. Not something I necessarily expected coming into this set. It will be Cherryo in the jungle for the Ares, however, this time round. I know the Des was talking about solo lane Ares against Tyr. It's a tale as old as time. Problem is, I'm always worried about a Serqet that could also answer back in that matchup.
I agree with Zeros. There is some room for experimentation with Ares against the Tyr there.
Totally screaming about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to come busted in here any second, as long as he's in between chess games, of course. But this is one that we might see once Tyr gets buffed and we see him at Worlds. We'll see a lot more Tyr. Maybe Ares solo comes back. For now, I think this is the way to do it. I like Dignitas and what they have. I do agree that a lot of their team fight's really sick. I think this Khepri pick was phenomenal to shut down what Renegades want to do. But at the same time, I don't know, man. Renegades draft seems kind of scary.
Here we go again with Trixtank starting in the duo lane to put pressure on this Funballer Morrigan pickup. The wall coverage once again by both teams is really fluttered around this left-hand side of the map. Red wards and blue to try and secure the red buff on the left, but Renegades will lose their purple to Dignitas with the pressure from that level 1 play. No boots strategies from either team either in terms of rushing those.
So iRaffer starts solo, goes solo to blue to back Harpies, whereas Cherryo is able to go speed to red to mids, and now he
contested and gets blinked on and abducted, but there's no follow-up damage there in time. The backflip was good enough, but I believe the Spirit Arrow was already used there as the reason there was no further follow-up damage. Cherryo limp away, but with a couple of health potions, he'll be able to resustain back in this jungle.
Yeah, he really should have died there. I think that it was just so crazy
that he was there in the first place.
Yeah, that Dignitas goes,
wait, what?
What?
Yep.
Oh, this doesn't make any sense, and it makes them hesitate for even just a moment, and that's enough to get him out.
Now this Ares pick really does shut down a couple of characters that Dignitas have drafted. Sure, if Serqet gets hit by those chains, a lot of her mobility is taken away, and that's exactly what Beads was saying. I cast a curse him.
You were saying?
The Searing Flesh wasn't enough to bring him down. Cherryo just at level 2. Qvo did use the beads though, and as I was saying, Ares great against Serqet, also really good against Neith, but if Neith catches you like that, you'll get a ton of damage from those lovely weaves on the ground.
Good job by Dardez, just pumping shots into Hurriwind, making him reconsider going aggressive in that moment. That was the advertisement for not going boots 1 in the jungle early on. Cherryo picks this so we can rush the boots as soon as possible. I feel like if he's got a little bit of power in that slot, that may have been first blood, but then there's the argument, would he have caught him without the extra movement speed? There's certainly a trade-off, but I'm sure he was cursing him at that point.
Hurriwind's health pool a little bit low here, and that's why Renegades and iRaffer, really Renegades, Dardez and iRaffer standing up in this wave, trying to keep the pressure on, keep Dignitas pinned back a little bit on their own side of the map, try and relieve some of that pressure around this left-hand side, so purple and red is available for Renegades to go towards now. Funballer should be able to secure his own, but Trixtank getting aggressive, needs to be careful, has to abduct away.
I think this Khepri pickup for Trixtank is going to be huge in this game, because what does Cherryo do against a max range solar flare into a Spirit Arrow? What does he do? He dies.
Generally dies.
He dies.
The problem is, though, is that if you get too close as a Khepri against an Ares, you're going for a wild ride, and you're not going to get a choice in it.
You are, but you're the tank, and you're probably full HP in this instance, and it could be a lot worse for you.
In the early game, I don't agree. In late game, you're completely right, but I think in the early stages, that's where the Guardians can really be exploited.
Certainly can be the case, but Khepri, one of the better ones, and not having that happen to him because of the ultimate, because of the shield that he gets from the passive, because of the mobility on top of that. I really think that Cherryo should be spending as little time as possible in the mid 3v3. I don't think it's a surprise we've not seen him share a wave at all quite yet, because that combo of just Khepri Neith is going to give him problems early on.
You can see he's only level 3 now, but had just headed back to base to pick up Shoes of Focus, so a little bit more cooldown reduction and a tiny bit of power in there for that Ares in the jungle. 3v3 in mid from Dignitas is on the cards, though, as they step up towards this wave. Still only level 4, so once the level 5s tick in, we'll see a change. Blink from Cherryo, though, gets the chains on Qvo, but the root from Trixtank comes into play. Snipes from Dardez, 2 out of 3 is not a bad start to the day, as iRaffer forced to beads away from danger. In the dual lane, we got action!
Funballer transforms in the world's slowest ambush, but it does get him away.
Can you call it an ambush at that point?
Yeah, it's a trap, but it's not a very well set one.
I guess
doesn't even use his ultimate because he knows he would have died.
I guess with the ambush as well, though, you are in the air for so long, you're not taking any damage. So
True.
Same sort of thing, same sort of opportunity to escape. Good survival then for Funballer for now, but it is still Dignitas on the front foot. They did this in game 1. It's not been as effective game 2 in terms of creating a huge lead, but they're still in the lead.
No, I mean, this part of the game is where Dignitas, their 3v3 is strong, they can certainly fight, but Hurriwind just now finishes Transcendence. That's a huge power spike for him. Variety just now gets Glad Shield. Ataraxia finally has boots. I mean, you're okay with how this game has gone if you're Dig.
Dig trying to get aggressive into the jungle. Worldweaver used very, very early from Hurriwind there towards Cherryo, and it did actually connect. Raffer turns up, but the rotation out of Trixtank 2. 3v3 on this right-hand side. Raffer stuns Variety as the abduct hits onto Cherryo. Chains are in play onto Variety for a second. Not enough to really slow him down as Nika crashes the backline onto Quvo. But Quvo fast fingers onto the beads, and the ultimate turns around the gank potential. This blue buff is still not dead yet.
Does go down for Nika. I was gonna say we saw Khepri steal away a fire giant with a 2, so why not a blue buff?
Might as well, right? How did he steal that FG? I still don't know. I still don't know.
That's just good luck, man. That is truly lucky.
Nice abduct from Trixtank, but no real follow-up damage there from Hurriwind available, really, with the Spirit Arrow not being there. The backflip will have to be used instead, just to chip away at the health pool. Hurriwind stacking up that Transcendence, as we said. It's online earlier, whereas Dardez went for mobility and the extra power you get from the Warrior's Tabby as to be expected on a mid lane Hunter.
We saw Hurriwind's ultimate come through very early on the right-hand side a little bit ago, but I like that idea for a Neith player. I feel like if you're picking Neith and you're holding on to that ultimate for a long time, you're doing something wrong. It just gives you guaranteed pressure in that lane for a wave. That is so valuable to have. I mean, it's an instant stun and do a couple hundred damage button that you can hit from anywhere. And I think that players often make mistakes on holding on to that ultimate for too long.
It's also the distance of the travel too, because it's very hard to predict how long it's going to be till it arrives sometimes.
Yep.
Once upon a time when Neith was only played in the duo lane, it was much easier to go, okay, I've got like 9 seconds before it hits solo lane. If it's in mid though, that changes that to around 3 seconds, and that can really throw you off a little bit in your ability usage.
And it could be coming from the right side jungle, could be coming from red buff. I mean, it's a much more variable time for sure. I mean, you've got way more options in the mid lane as far as firing points.
Well, mages have been more towards the duo lane lately, but one thing we've seen in the rise of mages is this do more pickup. More and more players are starting to go towards this as a normal item. This game, though, it's Morrigan, so you expect that, and Morrigan's going to need some help now. Quickly transforms after the Worldweaver to absorb the stun. Well played there. Or was that the bees? I'm not too sure. Instead, he's going to use the ultimate on from QvoFred, and that's actually Funballer dead. Raffer under pressure. He doesn't get a heal because of the ultimate out from QvoFred. And Dignitas marching on for the red buff in Renegade's jungle now.
Still a little bit low on health bars. Don't know if this is exactly the play where you want to get aggressive. You already got a great pick on the Funballer. He did use beads before the transformation. Decided not to try and transform into something like the Thor. Just not good decision making there from Funballer to go in. Ambush, sure, but then to Deathbane in towards the team. I know the boys were on the way, but they've got an Olorun. They know you don't have beads. Now you use both movement options. You're guaranteed dead from that spot, no matter what.
Hurriwind still stuck on that Transcendence as now Renegades start to chip away at the tower. Dardez just throwing a couple of basics in until he shows Hurriwind show his face. Doesn't want to overextend too far. Solo lane's build's continuing. Variety's not been back for a second or two though, so still needs to get his boots online. Nika's just come back from base after using the teleport recently. Looks like he's heading for that Breastplate of Valor, which has seen a rise as the season's gone on.
Yeah, all of a sudden everyone's picking up Breastplate. Last game I think it made sense because both teams were 4 physical comps, and they built Transcendence in that spot beforehand, so the mana from Breastplate still converts into some power. It's not a lot, but it's there. Now, I mean, Nika doesn't go for Glad Shield. I don't think we saw Solar Retro by that either.
Cherryo, Nika walled off Trixtank there. Worldweaver coming in, but Cherryo with a no escape going to pull Trix into danger. In the sky, there's a Horus hovering, and will come crashing down. Sorry, Nika hovering, I should say, and he'll get the kill with a double tap. Now into the sky goes Dardez for the snipes. Found it all 3, but Variety's healthy enough to survive. Great read from Nika there with that wall, but Quvo's still going to follow up with the ultimate. Nika got back up and needs it soon. Jumps away to his hammer. The poison ticks won't be enough for a kill. Variety's got to be careful. Hurriwind and Quvo back on the scene once more.
Oh no, Hurriwind shows up, immediately has to beads just to get away. That does not feel great.
Variety with the Lawbringer, close the gap on Dardez, and Dardez just used the bees that sense death of QvoFred to come in and give him a quick kiss. Funballer looks to turn it around, but a damage on Hurriwind as Raffer juggled by Variety again. Variety and Nika both getting involved in the action early on here.
Funballer finally has a transformation back. He uses QvoFred as a good option, but Variety tanky enough.
And the kisses from Quvo, not just one target, but two. And then the Deathbane. This now creates the Gold Fury opportunity. Funballer's below half health without his ultimate. And all 5 members of Dignitas are grouped at this Fury.
Quvo is on, it is past pop-off alert. We are in full red alert for all members of Dignitas, but it's really all channeling through QvoFred. All 4 kills for the boy so far for Dig. Sick mechanical player, man. His Serqet is
top tier.
So sick.
One of the very best that I've ever seen.
It's so consistent. It's so good. And this is why. I mean, he just gets a great team fight every single Cobra's Kiss lands exactly when you need it to. I mean, it's not even just that double one underneath the tier 1 tower. His last cast of it was on a Nika mid-Berserker's Barrage, so he interrupted the damage. I mean, the man's on fire.
Genius player, and it's coming out positive for the boys of Dignitas at the moment then. And I think we were talking about this in Game 1, well, behind the scenes we were, about the picks and ban phase, that I did feel like Renegades may have taken the Serqet for themselves to take it away from Quvo, because it looked like a good opportunity for them there. This time around, though, did get it for QvoFred, and he's really starting to swing, going breastplate too.
Again, I mean, same style of build. Cherryo did the same thing last game as well, Transcendence into the breastplate. I think this does make more sense on the Serqet than it did on the Hun Batz, because you don't need as much penetration on Serqet. True damage on the ultimate, pen and prot shred on the 1, so you're good. I still prefer to see some pen option before the Titan's Bane, but there's probably going to be Transcendence into breastplate, into Relic Dagger, into Titan's Bane, and it's really not a bad build. I kind of like it.
Cherryo under pressure by Trixtank, but a good stun from iRaffer stops the abduct out of Trix. Spirit Arrow hand unravel damage there from Hurriwind. Didn't really find a mark, however. No escape in the mid lane onto Trixtank, and this is doom and gloom for the support. No escaped in. Horus ult was there. That's going to consume Trix's blessing, but he's still alive for now. Into the sky goes Dardez. 2 shots, not enough. He needs the 3rd. And he won't be able to find it. Trix just skirted the angles well, using the cliff for cover.
Difficult with that big bug body too, man, to hide yourself there, but nicely done.
It looks easier as well on this spectator version, whereas what it is in game, right?
Yeah, because we take away the trees so that you can actually see everything. That is a tough shot for Dardez. Can't blame him.
Nika got to be careful on that right-hand side there. He's forced back to his tier 1. That opens this window for the 2 carries out of Dignitas here to get a bit of free time on the Pyromancer, looking to extend their lead even more so. 9 HP for Trixtank.
Yeah, 8 more than he needed. No problem for him. By the way, another sick Cobra's Kiss is what saves Trixtank's life in that. Right after he rezzed, iRaffer was there and ready with a fracture, going to stun him and set him up. And Quvo shut the door on that one with a beautiful Cobra's Kiss.
We'll point out as well, Trix just had the Thebes finished at that point in time when that no escape came through. That extra health definitely played into that a little bit. That was the window that I'm always worried about playing, playing into Khepri into an Ares. Could always be a little bit awkward for them. We're in the mid lane though at level 11. Now Dardez shared a little bit more experience, give or take I'd say, overall. Definite losses in the jungle and support positions for Renegades at the moment though.
Yeah.
As QvoFred has just hit level 12.
Man, he is huge. In this build for Cherryo, we see it from him a lot as Funballer has to use beads. Gets away from Sanctified Field, so it could be worse. Ataraxia just not quite patient enough on that ultimate cooldown in that spot. But
it always feels like it should be bigger range, right? That field, in terms of length in front of you.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I mean, it feels like it should. I'm not saying it should. There's a difference
The reason it
there.
feels like that is because it rolls out, and so you get sped up as it's traveling out, and so you catch up to that.
And then you're like, wait, where's my box gone?
Right. All the guys don't speed up. Yeah. Now I forget what I was saying before that. Thanks, Graham. You're talking about buffing Olorun out here, and you're making me forget my train of thought.
I was saying it felt weird. Nice juke from Trix there on the chains from Cherryo was coming through. Nothing really for Renegades to take. Have you remember what it was yet?
No, dude. I need a Jimmy Neutron-style brain blast to remember what I was thinking about, man.
Wasn't that important then, was it? Was it important?
Almost certainly not.
I'm sure you'll come up with it eventually.
Almost certainly
We can just sit in silence and wait if you want.
I really prefer anything but that. No, I don't think so.
It just
it's gone,
the issue
man. It's gone. I lost it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's like my style of cast. Anyway, it's gone. I've lost it. Variety, 14 now up against Nika. Has the Blackthorn Hammer online. This just makes it even more troublesome to try and deal with because now he's infinite mana tier as well. not only with an extra bit of cooldown reduction and that Gladiator shield for some more sustain. Chains from Cherryo does head onto Trixtank, and Ryan puts his finger to the sky in a Eureka-style moment. He's remembered what he wanted to say.
It was better than doing the Jimmy Neutron brain blast sort of line to get myself back into it. I remember what I was talking about. It was Cherryo in the jungle.
Right.
He always goes this pure tank build. We see a lot of other Ares jungles. You want to go hybrid, right? Because you're still a Guardian, and you want to get auras.
Yeah.
And so Jade Emperors is really popular. Pythags is still pretty popular. You'll get items like that, and you'll see Sovereignty later on in the build, but usually not first item. But Cherryo likes to do this, but it slows down your clear a lot, and that means that when Qvo's already ahead as well, it's that much worse.
iRaffer just got spotted ulted by Variety in mid as Variety eats a lot of poke there from Dardez, but resustains back up. The engagement from Raffer and Cherryo does come through to this left-hand side. Cherryo gets the no escape off, but it was onto QvoFred, who immediately turns around and survives that. I'm not sure if he had Magi's Cloak, or I guess it was beads, but I'm not sure if he did see Magi's Cloak. Blink from Trixtank there towards the back line, puts QvoFred into a position to get a kill on Cherryo, but Cherryo threads the needle with those chains so very well that I think, Qvo just barely survived. Funballer and the boys of Renegades might be able to turn it around, however. They get 2 lives of Dignitas, as now the collapse is on.
Trixtank already used a lot of buttons. Funballer hunts down Hurriwind, and Dardez able to roll in. Nice root, gets beads, but not enough.
Oh, the Unravel actually slowed down the attack speed for a second, but not long enough to survive. 3 members for 1 then, as only the Ares falls.
So I'm glad I remembered what I was talking about, because there the Sovereignty looks sick, right?
Yeah.
Cherryo lives forever, everyone's so tanky, it makes a huge difference.
Variety trying to slow down this Primal Fury, gets all in, did his best to juke out as long as possible. Oh my god, he got a fearless combo off! Nobody could do anything, they invested everything already! Ring around the roses, and now there's a chance to reset the Fury once more. Nika, Raffer and Funballer, enough damage here, but it's slower damage. It's going to give Trix a chance to steal it again. Like you said, we saw a Fire Giant steal earlier on. That's not how you do it, Trix. You throw out the 2. Should have learned that.
Did you not watch the set before? I don't
Clearly.
know. Yeah. Guess not. Besides that, with other people coming back in, Cherryo respawning, maybe it's time to back it up, and I think that's the right assessment. And that's why Cherryo's fine falling very far behind with this build. His team fight is going to be better because he just brings more as a Guardian. He's bringing the aura. He's able to bolster defenses with the 2. Everything works out perfectly there for Renegades, and Dignitas just takes too long killing Cherryo. And the exact scenario happens like you draw it up. Max range Solar Flare directly into a root from Hurriwind. It forces his ult early, but Qvo's right on the edge, so he's got a beads and takes some damage from it, and that makes the engagement that much worse that Qvo doesn't have beads on that left side mid heartbeat pit.
I did mention Magi's Cloak for QvoFred. He's not completed it yet, but he is working towards it, which isn't really a surprise with the sort of composition he's up against here to have another opportunity to survive some of this CC on the initial engage.
I don't love it, because I do really like it against Ares in a vacuum,
Nika
of course.
walls, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Nika walls, it's really easy to pop it with that, and that makes a big difference. I feel like Relic Dagger might just be better in that slot because it's so good for Serqet anyways. It's cheap, it's HP, it's movement speed, it's cooldown, it puts your blink on a lower cooldown.
Beads on a lower cooldown.
And your beads are up more often. I don't know. I think it's pretty close, but I think I'd prefer to see the Relic Dagger.
Pyromancer leashed by Dignitas for a second to check Renegade's response time. Response was there and waiting if required. The goal is still 2k up for Dignitas, even though Renegades won that last engagement, but it's definitely kind of taken the pace out of the game for a second now, as both teams start to reassess what just went on.
But I think Renegades are very pleased with this because Qvo had a massive lead. Now we've seen that we can actually fight into that anyways. And iRaffer didn't go for a team fight relic at level 1. He went with beads right away, trying to basically stay out of this insane CC chain and Ataraxia Sanctified Field. Now he's got an actual team fight relic that can help the squad.
That time round, though, Dignitas get a Pyromancer and then immediately pull the FG. I think that ward from Raffer there, just near Hurriwind, has given the game away a little bit. Cherryo on the rotation, Raffer already in the sky, looking to dunk down the back and catches Ataraxia, funny enough. Ataraxia not panicking just yet as he gets knocked up and thrown around, but now drops the field. No escape into play. Ataraxia has to beads. In the sky is Nika looking in the back line at Hurriwind, who has to beads too. And Hurriwind resustained from the Unravel well, but now with Funballer there and an ultimate with the Sanctified Field of his own, Renegades are on the march forward.
Variety is still full HP though, and someone's got to deal with them. Qvo getting cut down by Dardez. He no longer has the ultimate, so it looks like Qvo's out.
Nika took way more damage than bargained for there. His own wall cut off some of his path and exit there. 6-6. Fire Giant still stands. That felt like Dignitas forcing a fight that probably shouldn't have happened.
I don't like the Fire Giant pull, especially Pyromancer is the, hey, were by Fire Giant, by the way. Noise that happens for the entire team. You know the Renegade's going to have to check after that. You already saw the ward from iRaffer on the bottom side. There was another one on top side. So it's not like they needed that extra information, but they know that some degree of cooldowns were spent killing Pyromancer. They know that you don't have everything up right away.
And now with that, just look through all the relics that you can see down, more importantly, than what's available. A couple of blinks up for Dignitas, but outside of that, nothing. All the beads on cooldown. Going to see a bit of a farm-off situation now. Variety will be happy to stay pushed up, though. As Tyr, you know, that passive does come into play quite effectively.
Whoa.
With how much it slows things down.
I just realized Funballer is level 19, and Ataraxia is only level 16.
How did that happen?
Has been grouping a whole lot, not really doing a whole lot of farming. And it's really showing in the levels. Funballer 3, 1, and 2 has been able to get farm and get to the fights.
I think you can see the difference in Trix and iRaffer too, so I think the experienced Trix has managed to soak in that dual lane at the beginning of the game maybe, has had a bit of a knock-on effect as the game's gone on.
A little bit, but not 3 levels.
I don't think so either, yeah.
I mean, that is a lot. And Morrigan just clears faster than Olorun. Olorun does a lot of things well. Clearing at this point is not bad, of course, but it's still not great. Morrigan, on the other hand, 2 kills the archers, 1 kills the melees. I'm out of there, you know, and you've got the extra movement speed from Doomlord.
One game the way of Dignitas so far if you're just tuning in. This one's still balanced. And an interesting point in the game, the next Fury due to spawn in 40 seconds. 2 Furies down so far, 1 for either side. So it's really anyone's game at this point, but it's a very telling game because if Dignitas win this, it's a tricky situation to lose a set from, being 2 games up.
We've seen it before, and wouldn't be surprised to see it again. I mean, this is a Renegades team that is undefeated here in Phase 2 for a reason, but they haven't been down 0-2 this season yet either, or this phase, so could be the case.
Maybe that's what Dignitas can look for here. Looks like we've got another Magi's Cloak potentially coming through from Trixtank here. We'll see if he ends up continuing with that route here. Obviously, that'll be mainly for the no escapes more than anything else to try and avoid getting pulled in by Cherryo as this game continues. And speaking of Cherryo, he's gone for some penetration now into this build. Is that Spear of the Magus maybe coming up, or would you like to see something else?
Yeah, I don't think you really need Spear. I think Deso probably, or maybe Divine. I'd go Divine because Variety's healing a lot.
Yeah.
Ataraxia is healing a lot.
Oh, Dardez gets all in the mid lane. That was a lovely little calculated play from Dig. Worldweave into Blink Abduct, but Dardez was just so fast with his fingers on that beads there. He knew there was a dangerous opportunity available. But now he's going to push Renegades back to their own half of the map, knowing Dardez has to play a little bit deeper. Route onto iRaffer connects, but iRaffer just dashes back to the safety of the tower. Nika's also trying to deal with a level 19 Tyr on this right-hand side that's trying to wrap around the back. This is all Dignitas trying to pressure mid to rotate towards this Fury.
Dardez losing beads is all part of the plan. It just seems like a weird target selection, though. I mean, let's say Dardez is a second slower on the beads. Nothing else really happens, right? That combo should be on Cherryo.
Well, there's an ultimate out from Renegades as they get aggressive, but it was read nicely, and Nika took the brunt of the damage. Not a whole lot of damage, as he'll heal back up on the backside thanks to iRaffer. But Dignitas will pick up their own red buff, and the Fury dance can start to begin. It is an Oni Fury, which can have some impact on the map now and again, certain stages. This could be a useful one if somebody wants to look towards the Fire Giant. At the moment, with that ultimate being down from iRaffer, Cherryo's going to go up. No one even noticed. I thought one of them might have turned into Rama and looked for a snipe, but it wasn't even smelt.
Decided against it. That is one where it's not snuck by Dignitas. Renegades made a conscious effort to just give that up because they know that Dardez nor Nika had purification beads, iRaffer no ultimate. Don't mind the call.
Now the window opens up in the mid lane for a bit of pressure here, but Nika and iRaffer cause problems on the right hand side.
Stopped his blink.
And you heard the Hurriwind Worldweaver get fired there.
Oh no, he did blink.
Hit onto Cherryo, but I don't think there was any follow-up there. Renegade's going to fall back to base now, continue buying up items. Shift of shield online for Nika now. A little bit more protection, but at the same time a little bit more power when he needs it.
I love it because Nika has been hitting massive dunks. Not only in this game, but in game 1 he hit a couple really big ones at the same time. He's had a very sneakily good game on this Thor. He's down in levels, kind of the same thing for Ataraxia, where Nika has felt like he needs to be in the fights more than farming. Variety's been able to stay in farm and still make it some of these engagements. C sitting at level 20, but despite the level deficit, Nika has been feasting.
Fire Giant started early. iRaffer already taken to the ultimate with Horus as Cherryo walks in the pit and gets the chains. All on Hurriwind as the focus, who backflips away to safety. The field is down on Cherryo and iRaffer, who are under pressure, but Nika gets some alone time with Hurriwind, and that gets Trixtank to peel for him. Good blessing comes through. iRaffer's still alive on this backside, but a lot of time, and the snipes are just all hitting home from Dardez. Even the Aegis can buy him enough time So 2 for 1 so far as the fight still rages on. Mid lane, Dardez under pressure, gets pulled into tower range by Variety, who gets a double kill. And now Nika trying to find an exit strategy. Maybe under pressure some more.
Already used the hammer. QvoFred does have the blink. Cobra's Kiss is there. And a good team fight for Dignitas. I mean, Renegades do a lot of things well.
It felt too early, though.
It felt a little bit early. Funballer never really gets to be super involved in that team fight, but now might get involved right here.
Well, this is only a real chance if he wants to go for a steal with a Fire Giant. It could be that. Did Variety see him there? I guess not. He's still got stealth here, Funballer. He could look for the damage over the wall. A little bit of a damage check. He's going to have to take the flames eventually. They're slowing down DPS. Comes in looking for the steal. Will he be able to get it? The answer is no. Dignitas destroy him before finishing off the FG. And now it's going to be another 50 seconds until the whole roster of Renegades is back alive.
Good patience and attempt by Funballer, but without knowing the HP around the back. Don't know if I love shooting off the Dark Omen. I think that stealthing in and then just waiting right outside the fire ring so you don't get revealed, seeing the HP, gives you a better shot from that position. As soon as you fire off the Dark Omen, everyone knows you're there.
And I think, going back to that fight though, I just think the Horus ult was so early. Like, I think they could have hesitated a little while, allowed Dignitas to soak up a bit more damage from that Fire Giant, put it in a radius where they've got to try and make a call of, do we reset or do we continue trying to burst it down? Make a call, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. At the same time, I mean, the biggest problem that I'm seeing here for Renegades is that no one can kill Variety. I mean, he has gotten out of every single one of these fights completely full HP. He got a double kill in that last engagement. He ruined Dardez that fight. Someone needs to turn and help. It's been a iRaffer ulting in. Usually Cherryo or Nika are alongside him.
Yep.
Someone needs to be helping Dardez and Funballer. Probably not Funballer, but really Dardez.
Someone needs to be helping iRaffer right about now. He's trying to buy as much time as possible. Wrapped around by 5. And goes to the sky, but goes to the fountain instead of landing. Not by choice. Dignitas now with a tier 1 tower on the left, looking for a tier 2. 4v5, so Renegade's going to do what they can to try and split push the map a little bit, put some pressure elsewhere to make sure that if Dignitas want to siege this Phoenix, they're not going to lose anything else in the map.
Man, I don't know what the changing process looks like for Dignitas, but they're looking an awful lot more like Dr. Jekyll than Mr. Hyde today. I mean,
agree. That's a really worrying sign, though, if you're going to be that sort of team at this stage.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this is the future of Dignitas heading towards Hera's Expo. QvoFred in and out. Variety with a fearless chain to the backline on Funballer, who gets abducted afterwards. And the Phoenix will now fall. Cherryo rooted in place and annihilated by the damage out from Olorun. And, of course, Hurriwind with a killing blow. Dignitas looking to maybe close it out here.
Nika has to hammer away right after that ultimate. Titan pulled right away, but no Olorun ult this time.
Still, though, juggling the back row, and there's still a couple of members of Renegades alive, but slowly but surely, the Titan gets whittled down, and Dignitas are now up 2 games to 0.
I think that coming into today, you saw, I don't know if you saw Trixtank's tweet that don't have too high of expectations for today. After 2 back-to-back really worrying losses, I bet you Dignitas wasn't feeling great about their chances today.
You know, I think that might have been a bit of a cast a curse moment is what he was doing. He was trying to reverse psychology the situation. By saying,
smart.
listen, if we played badly, then, you know, Renegades are a good team. But if we do well, then no one's going to be, you know, everyone's going to be surprised.
I do think a lack of expectations helped this team play loose, you know?
Agreed.
I mean, you look at when this team is under the most duress, under the most pressure in these high-stakes lands, we've seen some players fall apart. Qvo plays his best in these regular season games, usually steps up against the big competition as well. It's only whenever there's a lot on the line that you end up seeing them fall apart. This is what we expect from Dignitas. I just wasn't sure if we were going to get it today.
Renegades down 2 games. They've now got to win 3 in a row to win the set. Otherwise, their second half phase record won't be completely intact. We'll be back after the break, though, to bring you Game 3.
The SMITE Pro League is brought to you by Titan Forge Games, the developers of SMITE. Well, congrats to all 3 people that picked Dignitas to win this set over Renegades, because right now they're feeling pretty good. 2-0 up. And really, Dignitas have looked in control of both of these games so far. My name's Finch. I'm joined here by Zeros. And Zeros, man, you got to talk to me about how Dignitas are getting this done, because Renegades have not looked this weak against anyone yet.
Yeah. Dignitas, like, super solid draft. I'm so surprised because, like, as we mentioned it earlier, how rough their earlier week was, right? When they lost to SK and Obey. Now their draft is amazing. They're playing really well too. It's weird though for me because, like, I feel like Renegades, they're really far behind, and I feel like they have the way worse draft, but they always find a fight in mid game and they win it hard, and then you're getting like false hope, like, oh, maybe they pull it back. But then I think Dignitas experience when it comes to team fight and their really good drafts just coming through and like they're just winning team fights.
You're right. The Renegades do seem to always have like a little bit of life there in the mid game. Just goes to show, I think, how strong this team is, that even when they're on the back foot and maybe don't even have the best draft, that they do manage to still seem to find at least something that keeps them going in these sets. But it's been QvoFred for me, and perfect that he'd be the first replay we go to. He has had just a really strong set so far, and you're right, man. Clearly his Serqet is up there, if not just the best.
Yeah, he's just completely running this game almost by himself in the early game here. I think it was 4-0 at one point, had every kill that Dignitas had. Just too good on this character, man.
And Renegades just did not seem ready for it. It doesn't hurt when Trixtank is fighting 2-man roots, by the way. Those don't make matters any harder, so we'll certainly give Trixtank some credit. And I want to speak to it a little bit. We just talked to the Dig boys a little bit in between that game. Nothing serious or anything, but they seem to be in good spirits. They seemed confident. And I think that is something that could really be huge for this team if they're out there playing with confidence.
Yeah, getting these wins I think is so important, because obviously they must be pretty demoralized after the bad week they had, and now getting 2 wins in a row against Renegades, and if they can close this out in a 3-0, I think it's going to be such a huge confident booster for Dignitas, and I think they're going to come back and look so good for the rest of the split.
And yet again, this Olorun's able to do so much damage in these games. It's felt like they haven't quite had an answer. Dardez did have some nice snipes here on this ROM. This play may be a bit questionable, but he had some nice snipes, certainly some nice moments. Do you think that it was the picks that really hindered Renegades here again, like this ROM, the Ares in the jungle? Do you think those are what held them back?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Ares was good, because like the Shen, the cripples were really good against like pretty much everyone apart from Olorun, I guess. I mean, it's not bad to hit shades on Olorun either, but like it doesn't really prevent him from doing his thing. But it's just like obviously, Dardez is really good on Rama, yeah? But I think it's kind of weird to pick Rama in combination with Horus support, because Horus support has so much setup, right? And I feel like Rama doesn't really have the follow-up damage, like if you compare to an Anhur or something like that.
You'd want something, you'd think you'd want someone with really big like burst, like to immediately follow up instead of maybe this delayed ROM who feels so late game. Gotta wonder if maybe the Manicure's holding Funballer back a little bit, you know, if that's hindering him. I doubt it. The Morrigan has looked mechanically fine. I just wonder if it is when they're picking their spots in these team fights, because Dignitas seem to be able to get just a couple of nice plays from Variety, or one big ulti from Ataraxia, or QvoFred hits that right Cobra's Kiss, and they seem to catch Renegades off guard.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, if you're playing the Morrigan, to me, to play Morrigan at the max potential, like you should be playing, you need to initiate, but you initiate into Olorun, what is he gonna transform into? Like, he had nothing good that's like good against Olorun ult. He can transform into Serqet and he'll still be slowed by the Olorun ult. It's just weird. Like, as I said, we need counter picks against this Olorun, or we need to ban it.
Well,
or first pick it. They could first pick it here as well.
First pick it as well, and then the first spot. This is a lot different already from Renegades. They've picked Thor for Nika twice in a row in the solo lane, and Hurriwind has gotten to play this Neith twice in a row in the middle lane, so they're taking both of those away. The Thor from themselves, and the Neith they're taking away from Dignitas. Going to be some really strong picks that are still going to be available, though, on the back end of this.
Yeah, for sure. Amaterasu may make it through here. You never know. But I really liked it for Renegades, though, taking away some comfort picks. I would probably rather have seen the Olorun ban than Neith. Oh, there it is. Okay, they pretty much banned everything.
Well, now Dignitas get to decide what they play against. Is it the Amaterasu or the set, or will they ban neither and leave one open for themselves on the backswing? Dignitas have a tough decision to try and make in this spot, and they do elect to ban the Geb, and that leaves at least one guaranteed for them.
Yeah, I really like that, because now they get one either way now, right? It's like set Amaterasu here. I'm not sure what Renegades would prefer, though.
Wow, it looks like they prefer the set, and that surprises me. Maybe this is the plan, because they did ban the Thor, which Nika had been playing, and now this set can slide right into that solo lane for Nika. So maybe they were kind of anticipating that this might make it through, but Dignitas get the Amaterasu to give over to Variety.
About that though, like I don't think Variety has ever been a big fan of Amaterasu. Like I don't know has he ever played it in competitive? I'm not sure if he has through his whole career, honestly.
That's a good point. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't associate it with him very much.
I know Trix likes it. Then maybe Fred will try it in the jungle. I'm not sure about that, but I hope we see the Amaterasu either way. I don't think they should give away both Set and Amaterasu to Set.
Well, you're right at the very least about Variety not wanting to play it. Wow, they're going to give away both? That's very scary to me. Renegades, a team on the back foot. You don't want to give them a lifeline back into this set. No pun intended. And I think Set Amaterasu could do that.
Yeah, for sure. This is interesting. If they do pick Amaterasu for Renegades, it's kind of locked in to be the support, right?
Yes, I would
and
say so.
Then you're running the issue with the Set, no CC. Amaterasu, she has some CC, but not a lot. So, like, that could become an issue, but still, I think those picks are just good enough anyway, so you can just pick them.
Well, you already talked about how this could potentially be a big confidence swing for Dignitas. If you give up Set and Amaterasu, or even just don't take it for yourself and still win that game, that's got to be huge for your confidence moving forward. And Variety did not have the face of a man who felt like they made a mistake. I think he seemed very confident this is just to take this King Arthur and potentially leave it open. And Renegades might not even take it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But as I said, they would be lacking CSC, so I think Amaterasu might just slip through this draft and not be picked at all. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the case.
That's a great read from Dignitas. They made the same read that you did, that there wouldn't be enough control there for Renegades and that they might not value it. That's nuts. They might even be able to come back and grab it, but it looks like no. They're going to go with the Thanatos instead, giving up the set so they can get King Arthur, Jingwei, Thanatos for their first 3.
I love the Thanatos pick here. Obviously, execute against Khepri, so good. But it's just, I think Thanatos, even when you're not against revives like Khepri, I think he's still really good in this meta. I don't think he's been played enough yet, but like full boot start on Thanatos, so much control early game.
And I think it's really smart not to take Amaterasu there, because let's say they don't want it, well, Renegades have to ban it here just in case.
Yeah.
And even if they do want it, they're the first pick afterwards on this for their 4th pick overall, and so then you could just get it there. That's so smart. Now they have forced Renegades into banning the Ama, and they might not even have wanted to play it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just interesting what Dignitas gonna pick now, because they have no magical, they're only physical so far. So what mage will we see here? And is this Jingwei? It's probably for Ataraxia in the dual lane, I would assume.
I think so too. We might even be seeing potentially a role swap as the Athena comes in. This was for Trixtank. It looks like they are going to wait until the end for this last pick. And Poseidon was banned away from them before. That would not hurt here to take a Poseidon in this spot. And there you go, Renegades take it on the other side.
That's really smart, because I'm pretty sure Dignitas were probably looking for that. There's some other mages you can play that has the setup for Athena. Like Merlin has pretty good follow-up on Athena taunt.
Maybe a Soul. I know it's something that you like to preach, but it gives you a good deal of safety, some more basic attack focus too. I wouldn't mind that. But Erlang Shen coming through, this has to be in the jungle then, right? Or talk to me about this Hera. We saw it played in set 1.
Yeah. That's pretty insane, because Hera's polymorph doesn't share DR with Athena taunt.
Wow.
So if you get full duration taunt into a full polymorph, you're not playing the game for like 2 minutes. So I like that.
And I wonder if we'll see that same start, the cooldown boots into the Doom Orb that we saw Venenu playing earlier in that first set. We might see that same thing happen here with this Hera for Dignitas.
Yeah, for sure.
But now I'm asking you, where do you think the Jingwei and the Hera are going to go? Do you think that's long lane Jingwei here?
Definitely long lane Jingwei. I don't see Jingwei mid. I mean, maybe. Jingwei Athena, actually. Not bad. That's the same taunt into a knockup. Doesn't share DR. There's a long CC chain. It could work. But I just think Hera's going to be mid there.
Hera did seem to fit in the mid lane pretty well when we saw Splice playing it earlier, so no reason why it can't be played there. But this does answer that question you had last time. That Athena setup, it's not just that it doesn't DR, they've got good follow-up for it in terms of damage immediately afterwards. This is a pretty good draft from Dig, but I don't want to understate Renegades.
Yep.
They've got a strong draft too.
For sure. I love this draft from Renegades a lot more, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see if they can turn around in this game. Renegades need this win to keep the set alive.
They do, Finch. They really do, because right now they're up against it. Dignitas up 2-0, but the picks and bans is definitely different this time round. Both teams having to go a little bit deeper in their pools, I'd say, as Trixtank just dashed to level 1, trying to catch the back there of iRaffer on that Khepri, who went for the early ward placements. Luckily, he gets away himself, but he'll have to take a return to base here too.
Nika stops his back, but not going to keep the chase going. Yeah, this is interesting on both sides, man. I think Hera's a god that a lot of people are starting to catch on to. Honestly, the other day, Zeros and I were talking about it, just kind of in the green room, and he was like, yeah, man, Hera's pretty sick. And I was like, really? I haven't seen a Hera in so long. I haven't played Hera in forever. Went home, played it, and if I was doing well, you know something's going on with this character, man. I think she's solid.
It is a good play. If a caster's doing well, that's the main thing. Zeros did mention on the desk as well about how the DR doesn't affect Torn and Polymorph, really so good. You can be in a bit of a combo chain there. And Hurriwind's follow-up damage on a Hera is fantastic in this position.
Her late game is nuts, man. Argus, once you hit level 20, you're playing a 6-on-5. I mean, it is that much damage, it is that much HP, and then hey, it's a ranged knockup that does 300 plus 55% on landing. It is a lot. This god, I think, is underrated for sure, and I'm really excited that we see back-to-back sets where she's played. I thought Ben played her really, really well in that last set, and now we get to see it again here for Hurriwind.
And in fairness, Argus is like a plat-level player. On his own, right? You just run him in there and he'll at least tank up for you.
And he's the best kind of plat-level player where if you just tell him what to do, he just listens, right? Yeah. I don't need you to do anything else. Just listen to what's going on. Yeah, Argus definitely does that. And I think the underrated part of Hera's kit, by the way, is she clears really well early on. As soon as you get level 3, if you decide to skip a point in your shield, you'll full clear archers with your 1 and 2.
Don't mind it too much up against with the Poseidon either, just because that shield that she'll have will allow her to absorb some of that Kraken damage potentially if she does get hit by that, and even potentially turn around and survive. Left-hand Harpy's contested. Oracles won't be. They're going to go the way of Dignitas. Take into account, Dignitas is the first time on their Chaos side of the map too. As Renegades switch it up after the first 2 games here.
Finally, I mean, games 1 and 2, very similar picks and bans, and Dignitas get away with 2 very similar compositions and win pretty easily because of it. I like the idea of making Dignitas show you something different. And this composition is very different.
Oh, Dardez a little bit far forward here and needs some support very, very soon. Trix doing a good job of pressuring, but QvoFred gets isolated by iRaffer. But now iRaffer's the one that's left on his own. His beads won't keep him alive to escape. He'd already used the abductor. Level 2. There's no other escapes.
I love that pathing from her.
Oh!
That knockup.
Oh! I thought that tower shot was coming, you know?
The fact that he didn't need a second one, Funballer should count himself pretty lucky. He still had dash, could have dashed to the wall. That takes away the tower shot.
It's the fingernails, man.
Fingernails, nice and quick.
Fingernails, that's what it was. Just got him away from danger. Dignitas then with that 1 kill. It went towards the Hera in mid lane too. We see Doomorb earlier on. Think we're going to see Doomorb again with this?
I think so, yeah. With the Lost Artifact 1, that really shows it, right? Now, this does mean that you're very susceptible to poke damage. I mean, Hurriwind actually picks up a mana pot because he doesn't have a whole lot of MP5. So now you know he's got no HP5, no health pot. So if I'm Dardez, I'm saying, yo, iRaffer, come and just root him for me. That way I can whirlpool him and some of the wave or title search him and try and force Hurriwind back to base. You just want to force him to back before he can buy Doomorb 2. If you let him stay on the map long enough to get Doomorb 2, then he already got what he wanted.
First point of contact in this game to mention real quick. Dardez has played a mage.
First time off phase.
Awuga. It's the first time in phase 2 that he's actually played one. And it's at this moment in time. It's the first time that they've been at such a deficit where they're 1 game away from losing here. And they've got to win 3 in a row. So him now going to the mage pool, it shows he's got him in his god pool, I guess.
Yeah, I think it kind of puts Renegades in a tough spot, right? Because you want to not show anything for Worlds. You're already guaranteed to go. But at the same time,
seeded.
You have a chance to get first seed if Rival doesn't win out. So you want to go for it. And I think that they're not showing anything crazy. I mean, you have to assume that Dardez can play a mage. You just didn't know which one. Now you have at least some idea. If you know that the enemy team is going to need a hunter or a mage in mid lane, then you're probably going to see Poseidon fans against Renegades from here on out.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense with some of the pros that you'll get the idea that they don't care about winning or like these games are important. They do care about winning. Yeah. That's like every single player, whether they win or lose on a game that's important or not, nobody wants to lose out of these pro players. They always want to find the victory. So seeing Renegades go to these sort of picks and bans that we've not really seen out of them for a little while, it's definitely intriguing to me and shows how interested they are.
These guys are just competitive to the core, and you don't get to this point without having that kind of ingrained in you. I was raging last night because I lost at Mario Party. That's just, I couldn't stand it. I went to bed angry.
Was it the green icons that got you?
Yeah, what? Okay.
I knew it would be.
But it's because, no, it wasn't it was a special type of green icons. It was Mario Party 7. I got a star stolen, man, by landing on a space. What is that nonsense?
I hate to see it. Happens to us all once upon a time. That's gambling for you. You don't get as upset when things go wrong if you gamble as much as I do.
I was upset.
pressure in the mid lane from Hurriwind. Still going on with the Athena. Always scared of the Athena dash taunt situation, but Raph is also there. QvoFred on this Thanatos looking to get into play on Nika, who just got silenced, but right there was Cherryo. And Cherryo forces Quvo to the sky. Chernobog ulting across too. A crazy fight going on. Quvo's still alive as he takes Cherryo's life and gets some resustain off of Rapha. Now Rapha forced to beat and try and juke around, but the CC chain is causing him so many problems, right? Just whacking away with Excalibur to multiple targets and over the wall. He takes the life of the Khepri. 2 kills for Dignitas.
Man, can we just start a joust series where it's just variety Trixtank and Quvo against every other 3v3 in the league? Because these three work so well together.
Nika needs help, and he's going to get taunted into danger. Now Nika trying to turn it around and find the kill with some resustain. But with Quvo lurking, you got to be careful because obviously Thanatos gets a little bit more movement speed when you're low in health.
Not enough. No blink for Quvo, but another big lead for Quvo here. 2 levels up on Cherryo, who's sitting right now at only level 4.
Quick pause coming through from Cherryo. As you can see, he took off his glasses. He's clearly saying, guys, something's wrong. We're down 2 games, and we're also down 3 kills. This isn't part of the script.
No, not, well, wait. We're going off script here?
I mean, that's what he thinks.
You're allowing that?
He got a different version of it, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I took off my jacket because we're off script now.
Yeah, it's warm in the room we're in right now.
It's real warm, by the way. It's
cozy today, this afternoon in here. But so's the action, to be fair. Nice and, well, heating up as this game goes on. Dignitas up 2 games to 0. I actually had a feeling today it was going to be a quick day because Dignitas' performances last time we saw them wasn't very good at all.
Agreed.
And I expected that Renegades would run away with this one with 3 quick games. It's looking like it might go the other way here.
I know, man. I mean, this is another great start from Dignitas, but we saw what happened in Game 1. Even when they had a big lead, one team fight goes well for Renegades, and they're right back in it. And so Dignitas has to stay locked in. Despite being up 2-0, you get a big lead like this, and you start having a little bit of fun, start talking about what are we going to do to celebrate, go eat dinner. Got to save that for a little bit later. You got to stay focused on what's in front of you.
I think the big thing between these two is this Cherryo and QvoFred matchup. QvoFred on the Thanatos, Cherryo on the Erlang Shen. It's all about the ultimates with those two. I think if we can see Cherryo maybe get his ultimate off earlier and get the regen before the dunks come through, because the Khepri is also going to be weakened by this Thanatos being on the map.
Hey man, he's got to hit 5 before he can hit the ultimate. At this point, he's only level 4 still, whereas Quvo sitting at level 6. And no blessing, I think, is best on Thanatos. You got to give a lot of credit to Weekend. He's the one who brought it into the SPL
Do we have
first.
to give him credit?
We have to, man.
Do we have to?
Yeah, especially because I made fun of it, right?
Oh, right.
I have to be able to say he was right, I was wrong. The no blessing on Thanatos, I think, is actually very strong.
Wait, do we give credit? Is that what we're supposed to do?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm doing me. I'll give the credit.
Well, at the moment, I'm giving credit towards Dignitas, who are up against, well, World Championship favourites, I'd say, at this moment in time. With how MSI went, they went undefeated there. Still undefeated in a single set in Phase 2.
It's October, by the way.
I know, but the problem is the autumn weather, is the winter weather starting to set in too quickly and Renegades not enjoying it? Is that the problem?
I mean, these are guys. A lot of these guys are from England, right? They should be used to the cooler weather. I think they would struggle more in the heat.
Accurate. We get acclimatized to this weather. That's what it is. The climate is
You
just
do get soft to cold very
yeah,
quickly.
I
here
did
in
get
the
soft.
South.
Thanks
No, so am I.
Nika gonna get ulted under the tower variety. Guess who's hovering in the bird? It's a plane. It's a bird. No, it's Thanatos, and he's already dead. I actually thought he was gonna be an execute threshold off the landing, but he just survived long enough, funny enough, so that execute didn't come through. But you can just see how Dignitas are playing so well here today. They're really playing with confidence.
And it's all around this right side of the map. Variety is just so sick at this King Arthur. Cherryo's dead.
Yeah, I don't. I got nothing. I guess Variety was out of mana. He felt like he could take on QvoFred in a 1v1. But it's a Thanatos that's a level lead at that point, I guess. I don't know. Cracking onto Ataraxia hits, but Ataraxia will at least ult away. Argus was dropped down, and our Funballer rotating on Hurriwind after the Argus usage. Red buff still being contested and looked at by Renegades. They do find a result there. But things are running away from Renegades quite quickly in this one.
But this is smart for Renegades. You're losing hard on the right side of the map. This is where you tell Nika that you're sorry.
Good luck. Have
Good
fun.
luck. Try not to die more than 2 other times, because we're going to try and transition elsewhere. Nika is at a point where you cannot come to his lane. We saw what Cherryo just tried to do and how bad that ended up turning out. Invade Reds. Try and get Ataraxia behind. Maybe we can pick Hurriwind in the mid lane. That's where you should be looking now if you're Renegades.
But still, the longer the game goes on, the more influential Set could become. He's still very low down in the item chart now. Gladiator Shield and Warrior Tabby online for variety, whereas it's not even Shillelagh online yet for Nika in this solo lane, so he's going to be further behind as the blue buff continuing to be looked at. Wards placed down just to keep vision going there. Renegades in the back foot. I think the goal view is going to tell us the tale of how long this game could go and if Renegades really have a shot of getting back into it.
Another set, another time we get to bring up Shillelagh. Check, nicely done, Graham. Variety owns this entire side of the map now, and so Gold Fury is going to be somewhere where Renegades have to look, but that's where this Athena can make life very difficult if you're on the Renegades, because Trixtank can be helping Variety and then still come over and be able to affect the fight around gold.
Interesting by Cherryo's build here as well, going for damage options. More than likely Brawlers or the Crusher is what we see here. Crusher signifies pretty well, but Brawlers for anti-heal. I'm a little bit concerned though, he's squishy already. We just saw him get blown up by Variety and of course the Thanatos. It's going to be a while longer before he gets any sort of tankiness.
It is, but I don't think you can really pivot at this point if you're Cherryo and start going for pure tank options. You would just get exploded anyways, and then you aren't dealing damage in addition to getting exploded. You may as well try and get out some damage at this point. Finish off the Crusher, finish off the Brawlers, whatever you want to go for. I think I'd be leaning more towards Crusher, but Brawler's not bad in this.
Funballer taking a fight with Ataraxia, who's going to get an ult from Trixtank nice and early on this Athena. Haven't really touched on Trixtank's Athena gameplay so far, but involved in 3 of the kills.
Fantastic.
But he's done very well in position and an early ult.
That ult maybe a little bit too early, but the one on the right-hand side was so early, I think that really caught Cherryo off guard. This is a pick that Trixtank is playing very well right now. I think Trix has had a great set in general. Qvo is going to be the guy that gets a lot of praise. Variety's going to get a lot of praise, and I think both of those guys certainly deserve it. But Trix has been a huge part of their wins.
Raffer, meanwhile, in mid lane, level 8 at the moment. Still keeping pace with Trixtank, even though he's died twice. Now currently alongside Dardez on this Poseidon, who went for Spear of the Magus early here. No Doom Orb, which I'm kind of surprised at, just because, you know, we've seen mobility, Poseidon, makes sense.
It just synergizes so well with the kit for Dardez.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to not go Spear. Flat Pen is the best stat you can have on a damage dealer. Flat Pen is king, and Spear of the Magus is king of Flat Pen, so by that logic, you should be picking it up a lot.
Ryan Harpy's about to spawn. Wards placed down early there by Renegades to give vision of that. Hurriwind doing a good job in the mid lane though, just that 1 kill for his name with a level lead at the moment. They're actually leaving him quite alone in this mid lane, Dignitas. They're giving him a lot of the farm, I'd say. Variety's going to be careful here though. Very low on mana with the rotation coming in from the whole squad. His ultimate was up and that bought him enough time to escape the Kraken. Renegades just use a big time ultimate there that don't find anything off it.
I mean, I'm pulling that trigger if I'm Dardez 10 days a week. It's just that you don't need a whole lot of mana in order to use that ult.
Top from Cherryo gets cancelled out by the taunt from Trixtank. The abduct onto Raffer on Trix is good, but Hera is in play, and Raff is getting slowly but surely lower and lower and lower. Oh, no execute even needed. I'm surprised. I thought for a second Qvo might have died for Dardez there, but the tension has turned from Dignitas towards the goal. I tell you what, this is a dig from phase 1 that I'm watching now. They're looking so much better. Trix in with the taunt, gets the bees out of Cherryo. Variety fighting Funballer. Hurriwind already taken down Cherryo as Funballer's on his last legs used his dash, and Variety can clean that up any day of the week.
Renegades, what? Nika? Is he the one who got in there and stole that away? That is huge for this team. You could not have asked for a better moment for an objective steal. They needed that desperately.
Well, look at the goal difference. It's 4K now, but Dardez going to fall down, make this the 9th kill of the game. He'll stay 8, I guess. Nobody could have got that last hit onto him. But that's a lot of kills in the bank for Dignitas. That this gold lead is only 3.5 to 4,000 after Renegades getting that Gold Fury. It's only 12 minutes in.
And that's when you got to gas your boy Nika, because my man has been getting slammed in that right-hand side. You've got to get him some, you know, you got to say, yo, that's how you make the plays, get us back in this game.
Oh my goodness me, the damage, the raw damage that just came out with that Doom Orb from Hurriwind. Not only that, Variety did all the work of tanking it up, but Hurriwind still followed him up perfectly and find another pick onto Cherryo, who's now 0-4.
Yeah, dude, Hera slaps. She does so much damage right now. You've already got your 1 max, your 2 max as well. That is huge for Dignitas to get another pick and keep the momentum rolling, because it's easy to let the wind kind of get knocked out of your sails when a Gold Fury gets stolen like that. Keep the momentum up. Keep your morale high. Get another kill. Set Cherryo even further behind.
And now Funballer on this left-hand side going to try and, well, get out of danger because Trixtank was hovering, but Trix is on his own, so he should be okay for the time being. Bit of a juke around situation there. iRaffer's doing a very good job of farming, though, to be ahead of Trixtank at this stage of the game in terms of just experience-wise after dying 3 times. But it shows that Trix is making more of an impact elsewhere than if the gold lead is still in Dignitas' favor.
Probably time for Trix to buckle down a little bit and make sure he's getting waves, because Gauntlet of Thebes, you want to get that stacked as soon as you can. Feel like that's one that maybe it's time for Trix to find a home for a little bit. Settle down, as they say.
See a fail not coming out from Funballer as well now. How do you feel about that on Chernobog?
Love it. Probably the best god at utilizing fail not, because CDR is really strong on him. He's got a fairly low cooldown.
He's got CDR now. He's got no beads. He's got an Aegis, and that's going to buy him a second after the knockup, but it won't be enough to survive. Great pick again from Dignitas. It's now going to turn into a tier 1, but reinforcements from Renegades are on the way. The army's coming, but the path in from them doesn't tell me they're going to go for a pick necessarily. They've not got the mobility to get there.
Double digits for Dignitas, man. Imagine if they would have gotten gold.
Yeah.
This game would have been almost 10K. At this point, potentially. Maybe not that much. It was a pretty early Gold Fury, but certainly even further out of reach for Renegades.
It feels like we've seen the best and worst of Dignitas in a 2-week period now.
Yep.
With the performances against the bottom-end team and then taking on arguably the best team in the league right now in Renegades, it's a night and day difference. I just hope Dignitas can stay at this pace, because if they do, the World Championships is almost in their sights.
But they've got another tough matchup tomorrow. I mean, if they come in and they crush United tomorrow, and let's be honest, United did not look great earlier on today.
Well, they've even woken up yet. Variety to the back, going to get the beats. And Aegis on a Dardez. The damage out from Hurriwind and the polymorph was beautifully there. And after Rafa lands down, Qvo takes his life. 2 members dead for Renegades as Dignitas now head towards the Fire Giant.
Sick taunt by Trixtank. Love Hurriwind's angle so that he could actually hit both with both abilities, and the Argus crashing down. It's looking good for Dignitas, that's what I'll say.
Well, they stole a Fury earlier on, Renegades. Can they do the same thing at the Fire Giant? Cherryo and Nika on the way. Beads already used by Nika there. Sorry, tell a lie. Which is a proc coming into play, and he's already dead. Variety gets credit for the kill. The airstrike was just for flamboyance there from Ataraxia. As now Cherryo comes into the pit. Health bar's getting low on Dignitas.
You gotta give it up.
This was a 15-minute Fire Giant that turns into a kill. That's 14.
Hurriwind
They're still
actually
going for this?
pulls this.
I don't know, boys.
Got to reset it to Variety. They've got it.
Yeah, they do. But how much health are they going to have left?
I don't think anyone can close the gap. They've got it okay. They needed Variety to be there to tank it. The problem was that Argus was taking aggro initially, and so once Argus was gone, they needed someone else to come in and tank.
You know, it's now that they've stopped messing around with putting Ataraxia in mid and Hurriwind in the dual lane, they're starting to win. I've noticed that.
It's kind of crazy, huh?
Notice how mages are back to the mid lane and hunters back to the dual lane. We're resetting to the start of the year.
Nice! This is what I like to see. I love it. We get to see traditional mages in mid. Hurriwind's fed, so he looks like he's getting a lot of farm. We aren't, but that's okay.
I knew
baby steps, baby.
You had to confirm that very carefully. Then I'm like, yeah, mid lane mages doing well.
But only in this one game, it feels like.
As a heads up for you all at home today, if you're going to go home and play ranked or get home from school or work and go play ranked, ban Hera or pick it, because everyone's going to be doing the same thing after today.
Yeah, you're probably safe to let that through, man. I mean,
I don't see a problem with it.
Seems like a good god right now for sure, but would you rather play against Amaterasu or Hera?
Oh.
There is no way you're actually thinking about this, by the way.
Well, the reason being, in a ranked game, that Amaterasu will be in the solo lane, okay? And what happens...
No, they'll be supporting, they'll run it down.
No one's smart enough to go with that. It'll be a solo laner, they'll get ganked and pressured early because its armor in the early game is kind of weaker wave clear, and then they'll complain, rage,
but it isn't
whine.
anymore.
The game's over.
But it isn't weaker anymore. That's why she's nuts.
The players don't know that, they just still play it the same way.
Her level 1 second ability does like over 100 damage.
It does, but we've got Arthurs and Tears, it'll be fine. Talk about tears, some Renegades fans will have some of those with how this game is looking right now. Dardez lost half his health already. Backside Nika will get revived, however, by iRaffer. First time I've really seen that blessing get used effectively just because of the Thanatos. But more effectively is the fact the Fire Giant has allowed them to get the Phoenix on this left-hand side.
Well, QvoFred whiffing that ultimate certainly makes a big difference there. Lets Nika get revived, brings him closer to Variety. That means Variety ends up dying for it. And that was a big shutdown bonus. Funballer probably just got a full level for that.
Dardez has to use the trident to get away. Trixtank tank the tower for a second. Argus going to do the same thing. Taunt onto Funballer, gets the beads. He'll dash in the wall in time, but where's he going to exit from? Back into the jungle he goes. Ataraxia threads 2 of the 3 basics to bring him down. And into the tier 2. Go Dig.
This one's guaranteed. Cherryo is looping around the back, but he's already used 70 transformations. He's going to clear the wave, and it'll be harder this time to
caught
backdoor.
iRaffer did use the beads. The silence was waiting for him, QvoFred, to try and shut down the escape option. But now with the tier 2 being done, Dignitas don't want to extend too much longer. Fall back, pick up the scraps from Renegade's jungle.
Gem of Isolation for Dardez. I don't know if I like it here, man. I mean, you just need to be able to kill people at this point, and your control is good, but Gem just doesn't have it for me anymore, man. I mean, Gem used to be core every single game on Poseidon, and I don't think it's worth buying anymore. I really don't.
Just because it's 1 second now? It's the only real difference of change, right? It's the
yeah,
passive.
But you end up getting so much less from it. It's like, why am I buying Gem when I can just buy E-Staff and kill you with it? Why am I buying Gem when I can be buying Shaman's Ring, getting 10% CDR, 100 plus power, and a passive that's really sick for me? I just think that you've already got a good amount of control on this team from Renegades. You don't need that much more. You need damage, especially now. That really should be Obsidian Shard or E-Staff or something that lets you, or Soul Reaver even, lets you actually kill Variety. You think he cares about Gem of Isolation?
It's fair. We're almost moments away from the reverse situation happening in Phase 2 that happened in Phase 1. Dignitas went undefeated through Phase 1 until they ran into the Renegades.
Good Lord.
And now Renegades are about to be beaten by Dignitas after them being undefeated for such a long period of time. Nika's trying to make work happen on the backside, but the health bars are just too high for him to find a single individual to kill. 18-2, 1 Phoenix already dead. We're only 20 minutes in the game, and 2 members of Renegades are dead again. Could be 3 if Cherryo's not careful. Variety doesn't care about Cherryo though. He's hunting down Dardez. The rest of Dig taking their 2nd Phoenix.
Brutal now for Renegades. I mean, Fire Giant's up in 30 seconds. Maybe they can try and get there and rush it in time, knowing that Dignitas has low HP bars on their side, but that seems unlikely. They've got to defend this left-hand side. And they just don't have the levels, frankly, to be able to kill Fire Giant anyways. I mean, Cherryo's level 14, Dardez level 15. Are they DPSing the Fire Giant? I don't think so.
Really is just one opportunity where I'm just like, I don't think I'd know anyone who could win Worlds this year. I think it's anyone's game. And that's a very rare state of affairs. I don't think I've got an actual favorite. Most times you have one. This year is not that year. Cherryo needs some help here. We'll get it from his transformations to the left-hand side. But all Renegades are trying to do is just find farm and stay in this game somewhere. Realistically, though, it's just when Dignitas choose to end it is kind of where we're at.
Fire Giant's going to help them with that. I think that going for Fire is the right call for sure, because let's say you tried to siege mid-Phoenix or get left-side Phoenix without it, then Renegades wipe you and end up getting Fire, and all of a sudden they're able to fight you a little bit better. Miss me with that.
Raffer's going to die here as well. Has Aegis and has beads. That's how bad of a game this has been for Renegades, that their supporters had to go for double defensive relics. And
yeah, that's not great.
They still don't save him in that situation. He was just trying to farm up. Variety did have to go to the left-hand side, though, to stop the push that was coming in from Renegades to that option. The left-hand Phoenix has respawned at least, so they can pay their attention to this right-hand side, where Fire Minions are pouring down the right, and the Fire Giant is under threat once more.
A little surprised if Variety actually teleports in. A lot of times you'll see solo laners hold that at this point in the game so that they can have a 2nd HP bar on Phoenix Sieges. But with Nika showing up, that's a really good example of understanding that you can affect the outcome of the game without overcommitting and without doing anything super crazy. Nika just standing there, tossing out a sand clone, using a skewer, poses enough of a threat the Renegades might contest, but then Variety needs to teleport in, and that's a big cooldown the Renegades just pulled out.
Credit where it's due to the experience difference not being as bad as I thought it was going to be. Renegades have done a good job of trying to at least find farm on the map for their carry positions. Cherryo doing a lot of split pushing. You saw when the Fire Giant was going down. He's almost caught up to QvoFred, which is pretty impressive there. At least that's not as much of a discrepancy as the itemization and gold lead is.
It's a big one. And sorry, I was a little bit shaken because I just saw my new pet peeve, Demonic Grip Poseidon. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Why?
It's a trap, man. if I'm barrel stuffing you with Trident, Trident's base damage is bonkers, all right? If I'm barrel stuffing you, you're dead even if I don't have Demonic Grip. Now in this game, maybe not. Maybe this is the right call to kill Variety, but as a general rule, don't build.
Argus dropped early by Hurriwind there, and the shield too, funny enough. They're a little bit worried about the all-in attempt. But with Argus being there, it can tank up that Phoenix and allow Dignitas to walk in and bring it down again. Only one Phoenix remains for Dignitas to siege up. Keep an eye on Trixtank, who's had a very good game so far with these taunt opportunities. He's found the right targets at the right time, and the team has followed up. But straight up 5-on-5, not really going to be the case with these fire minions on both sides.
Qvo's looping right here, and man, look at the damage already.
Frenzy pops, Ataraxia takes out Cherryo, and there's a big Kraken, but it didn't really hit anyone because already Variety's in the sky. Qvo going to take down iRaffer too. That's a double kill for the Thanatos. Could be a triple if Nika's under threat on the backside. He'll escape towards the middle Phoenix. Meanwhile, Dardez got left alone and picked apart by Ataraxia. Dignitas are going to take down Renegades for the first time in about 6 months. In 3 straight games.
Man, you could have given me sick odds on a 3-0 for Dignitas
I would have
today,
saved my money.
and I would have lost the house today. What a performance from Dignitas. You want to talk about a bounce back set. I bet you they are going to look in the mirror tonight and go, what?
To be fair, after game 1, I said to Trix, hey, good set. As we go to the bathroom, and he went, I don't even know what happened there. And I think they're all going to be in La La Land now in terms of how confident they feel after that set. That's a big scalp to take in those Renegades boys. Wait a second.
What's that?
The losers came through to shake the hands of the winners. That's not normal.
Well, Renegades is so used to going to the enemy base that they
They
just
thought
did
it was
anyways.
a natural thing. Hey, we lost, let's go in and shake the hand. You know, maybe it fakes out the viewers at home to think Renegades
smart.
win. That's what it is.
Cooper going to put in the standings. Well, Renegades was in the Dignitas booth, so
they
maybe
win.
they won? I mean, I don't know. It's just been such a habit for the boys. They've been winning for months.
A really surprising tale of events today. Splice taking a 3-over United. I thought that was going to be closer. And then that set there, Dignitas doing what I didn't think was possible with how they played last week, taking out Renegades in 3 games.
And that helps out Splice, because remember, Splice has a lot of games to play. Splice isn't eliminated from first seed contention at this point. They needed Renegades to kind of get pulled out of that picture because they still had a couple games to play as well. Renegades now looking like they will not be first seed.
Realistically, yeah, Rival are looking very much like favorites these days.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into the desk, though, to break down exactly what we saw that set.
Handyman, I'm going to do my best, but it's hard to talk about how that could have possibly happened. Renegades have looked unbeatable up until this point, and Dignitas, honestly, were on the down tilt, and they come in and they just take it to them 3-0. And Zeros, I got you here on the desk. You can do this way better than me, man. I mean, is it that Thanatos pick for him? I feel like if I had to sum it down to one thing, it's that Qvo, Trixtank, and Variety played out of their minds.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think everyone on Dignitas played so good. But I imagine this Thanatos pick, they had it against Khepri this time around which is as a counter, right? But I think even if you're not against the Khepri, I think Thanatos in this meta could be one of the top junglers right now.
I think so too. Being able to avoid having to take the Assassin's Blessing lets him get off to a really hot start nowadays as well, and good into the Khepri as you mentioned. But I think Dignitas might have also just kind of had Renegades' numbers in the picks and bans this set. It felt that way, didn't it? I mean, this last picks and bans where they skip out on the Amaterasu, they allow Nika to take that set, and then they come in with the King Arthur Jing Wei, and I think that Renegades are kind of in their own heads a bit about it, and it seemed like Dignitas just had their number.
Yeah, I think Dignitas just had a perfect read on the meta right now. All 3 games, the draft was so good. I think this last game was the strongest draft that Renegades had. But even then, Dignitas still have the better draft and so well drafted and so well played by Alton.
And it's so crazy that, you keep defaulting back to Renegades because they're the team that earned it up until now. But every time we would go sit down after the desk, you'd be like, man, but Dignitas draft's so sick.
Yeah.
I don't see how they could lose. And you were right, man. Every time, it just felt like Dignitas came in with better tools. And then they played better than them on the battlegrounds, too. I mean, Nika was frustrated this set in the solo lane.
Yeah. he got a beating by Variety's King Arthur. But I think Renegades were the one who kind of started this meta with ADCs, mid and all that. And I think now people have catched up to that and they come up with things that are stronger than it. So I feel like Renegades probably have to go back and readjust. Because as I said, like they just got so out-drafted, in my opinion, all these 3 games.
And what's interesting is this might kind of be the best thing that could have happened for Renegades, to catch a beating this bad when it doesn't matter that much. You know, they are already locked in.
Raffer did mention it before the interview that if they lose today, they're gonna win Worlds or whatever he said. So.
That's right. He said he'd rather if Dig was hot during the online phase or the here phase instead of the LAN phase. So obviously some joking from him, but maybe there's some truth to it, that it's better that they take this loss here and they can start building from it and learning from it. Look at Qvo, man.
Pop it off, dude.
Well, I mean, you knew these guys for a long time. You played with them as well. I mean, can you talk about how much you think it might mean to these guys to be able to get this win like this?
I think a lot. I think Variety, Trix, and Fred, they've always been like momentum-based. Like when they're doing well, they're doing really well, and then when you're on the down low, they're not doing so great. So I thought like today maybe they'd be a bit demoralized after the rough week they had, losing to 2 like bottom teams. But now coming up, beating Renegades like this, so dominant.
It really wasn't ever much in any question in this game. And like you said, Hurriwind and Ataraxia played really well this game too. I mean, sometimes when those 3 play that well, they can be left by the wayside, but all you really need is your carries to come over and do the damage when it's time, and that's what they did.
Yeah, for sure. Like they didn't have to. That sounds wrong. They didn't have to do that much though. Like,
right? No,
like,
it's true.
Just like
they didn't
just jump on the backpack and a Fred, Variety, and Trix, you know, and let them do the thing.
Yep, exactly right. And then when the moment comes, you trust those guys to hit the shots. That's exactly what they did. Renegades, who hadn't lost since before the mid-season invitational, they won that event without dropping a single individual game. Finally take a loss 3-0 here to Dignitas. And I got to imagine QvoFred and Trixtank are feeling pretty good. Let's hear from those guys in the interview.
On the desk, yeah, I'm with Trix and Qvo. Boys, first of all, what is the turnaround from last week to this week? What you've been eating shreddies or something? Like, what's been going on?
So to me it feels like last week or the week before, like we just had a rough time like adapting and like getting our things done and like cleaning up our gameplay. But we have had a lot of talks, a lot of like early game talks, draft, whatever. Like just really like how do we want to identify as a team, and like I think the last week or so we start clicking more, and I think it shows today as well that we are back in business.
Yeah, I think like before the Obey SK week we were kind of on a downward spiral, you know, like we were not on our S, but and then like Obey catching us off guard like in that set, and then we just got tilted into the SK set. I feel like we didn't expect it at all, and we were like, how good are we actually? Like, are we just bad in this meta? Because in the start obviously we did good. But then slowly it progressed over the last 3 weeks, that it just like slowly came up, and it's actually only 2 days ago that it started like being like, okay, we can probably on a good day we can beat like anybody, but we're still not there where we feel like every day we can beat anybody, because we're still not that consistent. Today our pick and bans were just great, so I think that carried us a little bit into the game.
Moving Hurriwind back into the mid lane, Nate goes back to long lane. Do you think that contributed to your consistency today?
For sure. I think we also had like in the last couple of weeks we had a lot of trouble with how we want to function, swapping back and forth, and like when to do it, and how do you play that role, what the comps like, whatnot, right? And then I think we just decided, you know what, I think we liked the start of the year, how we played around that more, so we just decided, you know what, let's switch back.
Also, our pick and bans got really awkward when we had Thailand and long lane. Like we couldn't pick any ADC, and we only could play ADCs or like maybe Olorun and so on. But those guys you kind of want in the long lane, like you want to fed Olorun, you want to fed Kronos and so on. So that's why it was just awkward pick and banning when we had that.
Absolute pleasure to watch you all play today with this 3-0 performance. Were you expecting three wins in a row though? How dominant they were?
No, not at all. Honestly, like we actually had a talk before our sets this week, and we were just mostly focused on like taking them, and then if we lose, we lose. Like we didn't have too high expectations, but as long as we just stay together and like we keep calm and we work on what we want to work on, we were all like happy even if we lost. But we just try and.
I'll be blatantly honest. I thought it was going to be a quick 3-0 to them, and I actually I knew we were on we were going to be better than last week, but I still thought we were going to get a quick 3-0 to them. But I just think it started clicking again, and that's nice.
Last real question before I let you boys go. Tomorrow you've got another big game against United, who didn't look the greatest today. Do you think today will help catapult you tomorrow, or are you a little bit worried about being overconfident with how well today went?
Yeah, I don't want to go and like be all big ego and stuff right now. I think we just stick to the plan. Like we are secured worlds at this point, so we just want to focus on ourselves and our play. And like if we lose tomorrow, so be it. But we definitely want to try our hardest though.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today, boys. See you in a couple of weeks.
You too.
And tomorrow.
Shoot.
Man, it is hard not to like Trixtank when you get honesty like that from him, right? I mean, just straight up like we came in thinking we probably would get handled, and they were the ones that performed better on that one, Zeros. I mean, you gotta love hearing that kind of stuff from him, right?
I think he mentioned twice that he thought he was gonna lose 3 also. The confidence probably wasn't there before the games, but I'm happy to see them come out with a 3-0 victory.
I do think it says something though when you come into these sets and your focus is on yourselves and make sure that you play the way that you drew up the game plan. I think that does kind of free you up to do well, and that's what we saw here from Dignitas today. Let's take a look back at that schedule real quick. The games that we had earlier today, Splice 3-0 to United, Dig 3-0 to Renegades, but it does not get any easier. Dignitas had to play E United tomorrow, and then there's the Obey LG set between two bottom teams that have actually been looking a lot better here lately.
Yes.
I think tomorrow's going to be really good games too.
I think so too. I'm pretty sure I look forward more to the Obey with LG to see like where they stand, because both of them been taking games of the best teams right now, right? So it's going to be so interesting to see which are the stronger.
I'm right there with you, man, on seeing how those games work. Let's go over to the standings now. As Dignitas are talking about, they are already confirmed. In fact, our 6 teams that are going directly to Hi-Rez Expo are confirmed already, just a matter of the seeding. And you can tell things have already shifted around a good bit. E United in that 6th place spot now as Splice jump up with their better plus-minus to 4th. The seeding can still change a lot. And remember, being 1st and 2nd, that's different between playing the bottom or the teams that come for the placement week versus playing other SPL teams. If you can avoid that, you would really like to. So let's go ahead and move on to that path to world that I was just mentioning. The placement week, that's what's happening November 3rd through the 8th. The bottom 4 SPL, 2 from each SML region, as well as 2 console teams are going to be in that placement week, all to try and make it out to the World Championship. And Zeros, man, it is looking like a tough path to get there.
It's just all the top teams, sometimes they play amazing, and sometimes you're like, they don't play that great, so like, I have no idea who's going to be the top teams going into Worlds now. It could be anyone.
No, I think that's what we've learned more than anything, is that it is up in the air to see who's going to win the World Championship. And I can't think of a better place to watch who wins it than there in the venue itself. Make sure you are picking up those tickets. Go to HiResExpo.com. That way you can still make it out there. Last I heard, these tickets are going fast, so you absolutely want to make sure that you're picking it up so that you can be able to hang out with all of us. Zeros, I imagine you'll be there, man. The rest of us will be. All some of your other favorite pros and everything, too. So make sure that you are there for that event, and we appreciate you all watching the SPL today. But don't worry, there is still going to be even more action happening tomorrow as well. Friday, we've got 2 big sets, so make sure you're right back here for the SPL. And as always, thank y'all for watching.